If the name Jeffrey Epstein rings a bell, that was my agency. It treated the most prolific child like a rock star. I almost get like teary-eyed so proud of my dogs. Do whatever the you want to me.
It's not fair.
Do not take it out on my dog. But I was born into violence and dysfunction and to substance abuse. The dog goes over the hedge and grabs him in the face. She had to witness her son like die right there, bro.
Thank you so much for coming, Justin. Happy that you can finally make it over here and we could do this.
My pleasure, brother. Great to see you. Great to see you.
So who we have before us today, very honored and privileged to have him here in the podcast room. Mr. Justin Rigney, 17-year law enforcement veteran, 10 years of which he was a police canine handler and a trainer for 2 South Florida agencies, worked 3 dogs on the mean streets of South Florida. 6 years ago, retired to pursue his business interests in pet training, where we'll talk about how very similar paths in the sense of how we've transitioned from law enforcement in the canine world to the civilian world. And now he still travels the country, or I should say still, he spends a ton of his time traveling all over the country, doing seminars in every state probably at this point, helping police canine handlers, police canine units, civilian dog trainers, from pet trainers all the way up to high-level obedience, agility, and protection sports to be the best that they can be. I strongly, strongly believe, and I'm not just saying this to the camera, I say this behind closed doors in personal conversations with anyone I speak to when it comes to police canine training or dog training in general. They say, Garret, who's your mentor? Who do you look up to? And that's this man right here. So without further ado, we're going to turn it over to Justin. And I would like to say that I strongly feel you're definitely within the top 10, if not the top 5, maybe even the top 3 trainers on the planet.
Well, man, I'm kind of blown away to hear that, bro, because I'm over here fangirling at the things that you've built and created, sitting here with you, man, in this gorgeous house. And, you know, we go back a pretty long way, multi-generations. You know, back down in South Florida, I spent some time with your dad. Used to come out to our training facility and kick it a little bit. We worked in different counties, but it's wild to see the evolution and the growth, man, and just mad respect for that, bro. So, you know, like you said, I'm very blessed and fortunate to be able to travel this country coast to coast and work with folks that are just want to work their dog in their living room. And I've been very fortunate and blessed to be able to work with some special force units that are doing things in the real world that they can't talk about, man. So, you know, I've been doing this 30 years, a good portion of my life, probably, man, I keep saying 30 years, but I've been saying that for a few years. So it's got to be 32-ish maybe now. My math sucks, but it's really an addiction, man. It's an obsession that started as a young kid. But, you know, I've been very fortunate to travel and train and work with some of the best people in the world and really be able to steal their techniques. I say it everywhere, man. I'm a thief of intellectual property. I don't have the mindset to invent things, but I can damn sure analyze something, steal it, put it in my toolbox, and put it to use, really internalize it, and then be able to regurgitate it and project it to people where they can maybe grab it and apply it to their dogs. So, you know, my story of how I got into this, man, I was actually deep into dog training before I became a cop. I was a civilian dog trainer prior to, and then dogs drew me into police work. And I'll touch on that story soon. But you're going way back when, like how this started for me was at a very young age. And I'm not trying to sound like a victim or anything. I'm very grateful for the things I've experienced, but I was born into violence and dysfunction and to substance abuse. Like, it goes back in utero, man.
What state was your family from, or like where were you born?
I was born in New York. Spent very little time there. Maybe when I was 2 years old, we moved to Connecticut. So, you know, my old man was a violent drunk, man. My violent indoctrination to this world, he had punted my mom down a flight of stairs when she was pregnant with me. So shit started before I even hit the ground.
That's what happened to you then.
That
explains a lot.
But you know what? I'm very grateful for the things that I saw as a kid. It's pushed me in a direction that I never saw coming. And my old man most definitely prepared me for the dysfunction and violence that you see in the streets of South Florida. It's wild, man. Like in times of stress or in violence, shootings, stabbings, dog bites, fights, the world would absolutely slow down for me at a pace that I could normalize it in my brain and function. Like a lot of times people lose that dexterity or that tactile sensation, lose motor skills. For me, it got better. And I attribute that to some of the shit I saw as a kid. I've never touched a sip of booze in my life to this point, man. It ain't because I'm on a health kick. It's because I knew that was the devil's juice from a kid, man. So, you know, what drew me into animals, and believe it or not, horses was my first love. I actually wanted to be a jockey, and then
You're too big for that.
discovered food in the gym, and then those dreams were crushed. Like,
What age are we talking here? Like,
bro, young. So I calculated, or my childhood memories, I assessed to where we lived, because we moved quite a lot. I've moved so much as an adult. 0 to 2 was in Westchester, New York, and then from like 2 to about 9 was in Reading, Connecticut. So it was in that time frame where I really fell in love with animals. But the reason I fell in love with them is because humans were dangerous. Like, humans were untrustworthy, they were manipulative, but animals spoke my love language, man. I was just obsessed with horses, man, obsessed with horses. And my parents actually would allow me to go ride at a certain stable. They'd give me lessons and stuff like that, man. So I was just hooked on it. And the behavior that we learn to, the behaviors that you manipulate with a horse through tactile communication is very applicable to dog training, especially using electronics, man. The tactile communication of the reins mean whoa, spurs mean go, pressure on your legs, moving the horse side to side, the pressure and release of the reins to get the horse to move its head and turn, like wild. And as we're going to talk about maybe some of the NAPO training I'm involved with, there's prerequisite reading, where there's a book or movie called Buck, where he's a horse trainer, Buck Brannaman, brilliant horse trainer. And we kind of have similar backgrounds. He grew up in some violence, and he watched his old man violently break horses, and he suffered it with his brother. And he's like, I have to find another way to communicate with those animals. And he did. And it's wild. So if you're into that kind of animal geek stuff, man, you want to learn a little bit about how to communicate. He does it on a much deeper level, man. So fast forward the tape, man, obsessed with horses as a young age, but also had another obsession of baseball. So I was geeked out about baseball. I actually played professionally once upon a time. Was drafted by the Atlanta Braves in 1993, which like a lifetime ago. That didn't last too long, man. It was an amazing experience. But, throughout the whole time I was in the minor league program, and I could never have a dog. Could never have a dog, man. I was like, there was a missing link in my life where it was a cool experience, man. And I played at Florida State University, got to play in the Minnesota Metrodome in college. Actually, in high school, I got to play in Yankee Stadium, the old Yankee Stadium, on an all-star game, man. So I had really, really rich memories of playing baseball. And just an absolutely amazing experience for me. You know what? You can look back in your life and remember certain times that kind of drive you in a certain direction, and how you evolved and how you became where you are today, good or bad. Is I remember when I was about 13 years old, we'd adopted a 100-pound black German Shepherd. He had been hit by a car. He had the use of his front leg, but it was a peg leg, right? So somebody had dumped him at a vet clinic. The vet had done the work for free and put him up for adoption. So we grabbed him, and he was just like on autopilot, bro. Just the coolest dog, bro. Big dog, man. So we used to sleep loose in the house, like no training. He'd just hang, wouldn't leave the yard. He was just like cool. And then one night, it was like 1 or 2 in the morning, he starts going ballistic. Like he wants to go through the front door, right? So we all wake up, rush out there. We kind of peeked through the windows. We just said, man, maybe it's a raccoon or something out there. We hushed him up and went back to bed. So the next morning, we went outside and discovered that my old man had a boat, and 2 of his outboard motors were stolen. So 2 things happened simultaneously for me, and I can remember like it was yesterday. Like the feeling of becoming a victim of a crime, like enraged me, bro. Like I just felt so angry. And what the equally or even more powerful in my brain was, I said, I'm never not going to listen to a dog again. Like,
trust your dog.
Trust the dog, 100%. Like they know things that we don't. And I'm going to be getting goosebumps even thinking about them, And it's that moment where 2 worlds collided for me. Like the desire to really understand dogs and their communication and their process of how they behave and what their needs are. And then that aspect of becoming a victim of a crime, where the 2 worlds merged for me later, becoming a police dog handler, where I get to handle both businesses, right?
You didn't know that at the time.
Didn't know it.
Yeah.
Didn't know it. And it came to fruition. I actually got a late start. I was 28 when I became a cop. So, just kind of fast forward the tape a little bit. In Connecticut, I actually was, when I got released from the Atlanta Braves in about late 94, early 95, I went back to Connecticut, wasn't sure what I was going to do. I knew it was something with dogs.
How old are you about this time?
Shit, you're making me do math now, bro. It's
Mid-20s?
probably 23,
Okay.
24. Yeah, I was 21 when I signed. Yeah. So I was probably 23 when I got booted. It sucked, bro. I was actually stationed in West Palm. The Braves used to be down in West Palm. My parents were about to get on a plane in LaGuardia to come see me at spring training. I said, get off that plane, man. I just got booted. I'm actually doing laps in South Florida, a little piece of shit Honda Civic, man. I'm like, bro, what do I do? So came up with a plan. Long story short, ended up back in Connecticut. I was working in construction during the day, going to school at night, trying to get my degree. The Braves had paid for some of my education, so I was trying to use up that. And this was before social media, bro. It was before anything. All we had back then was old Learberg tapes, man, if you remember those, bro.
Yeah.
That's all we had to go by. So there was none of this, man. There was none of this amazing opportunities we have with the internet now. But every deli that we go in for lunch, I'd see a business card. It was called Dogs Unlimited. And my name today plays homage of my business, Canine Services Unlimited, to my dear friend Chris Byrne, who owned that business at the time. So I grabbed it. I don't even know if we had, I guess we had cell phones, or maybe I went to the address, knocked on his door.
Probably beeped him. You hit him up on
maybe on a beeper. Yeah. And
but you don't know this guy.
I don't know him for shit. I don't know him for shit. I just talked to him last night. He's one of my dearest relationships I hold so dear. This man, I just knocked on his door. He said, come on in. He opened up his mind, his business, his family, everything to me.
What possessed you to like, what was the calling? You kept seeing the card, and you knew it was dog related, and you said, this is it for me? Like,
because I'd always had a passion to pursue something in dog training. Like, police dogs are in the back of my mind, but I'm actually a pit bull guy, bro. I love pit bulls, man. I actually go to the pound with another buddy of mine in Connecticut. We just go take out pits and mess with them, bro. Like, we were just obsessed. We didn't know what we were doing, why we were doing it, but we had this deep ignition to engage with dogs and understand them. So, man, it's like God's work, bro. This card was just on every deli I'd go to, because Chris had blasted that card all over town, Stamford, Connecticut. So I hit him up, bro, and he was everything, man. He ended up giving me a place to live. He offered me an internship. My very first experience in dogs was running a guard dog service. It wasn't clicking and treating, bro. It was using some fucking nasty dogs. So what we would do is we either had a kennel on site, where when the business closed, we'd let the dog out into the compound, where it was a junkyard, car lot, construction yard or whatever. And then in the morning before they opened up, we'd have to get the dog back in the kennel. And some of these nasty motherfuckers, like, we'd have to bait them in with meat. And then we had this rigged system where we can close the doors from the outside, like lion tamer shit, right?
This kind of working with or under this
under Chris. Yeah, he showed me the ropes, and my indoctrination to dogs was some nasty dogs, man.
And then what was Chris doing at that? He's a pet trainer?
Yeah, I should cover that. My bad. Yeah, so he's doing pets. He was doing drug dogs, back then bomb dogs. He was doing guard dog service, board and trains.
But everything.
Breeding, dogs for sale, doing high-end protection dogs, like really running the gamut. Like, I talk about him and that experience all the time, bro. I didn't have to fuck around being lost in bullshit information. I was very gifted and blessed to have top people from day one.
Really?
Yes. I didn't have to fuck around, bro. Like,
which is, I think, probably atypical. I think a lot of people bounce around. Like, we get folks here, they're positive trainer this, positive trainer that, pet smart this, before they finally realize, like, there's a lot more to it than just a click and a hot dog. But and would you say, and I wanted to touch on this very quickly for the dog geeks here, if you will, the dog training geeks, would you classify Chris as like a balance trainer back then? Was that even a term back then? No,
that's I would say that's more modern dog training terminology, balance, but he was, for sure. Teach me how to cut a hot dog the right way from day one. You know?
There it is. See, the folks at home don't know this, but there is a right and a wrong way.
There's a technique to do that shit. And but an amazing human being, man. Just, again, like, I saw his kids grow up in the business, and he taught me so much, and I learned everything there. I learned so much, the kennel management, how to take care of the grooming and raising puppies, man. It was just wild. And the people that he introduced me to, because he was never one of these people that can't leave my island. You cannot leave this tribe. He had no ego in the game. He always wanted the people around him to be better. So he'd always introduce us to people that were going. So there's been several avenues that spiraled off my relationship from Chris that have continued the blessings of my life to learn about this trade. And it's a never-ending, infinite learning curve in this game. Like, you'll never get there, and I like that. I've got ADD like a motherfucker, bro. Like, I'm the sprayed roach. I'm running around. Like, there's no plateau in this game as long as you're not held hostage by your own ego and insecurity, man. If you have an open mind to understand there's other ways, other techniques. When things get normalized and predictable, I'm gone. And dogs are never like that, man. So through Chris, I met a guy named John Rodriguez, somebody you will probably never hear of. He's off social media. He's antisocial dude, doesn't like people. Gifted human being with dogs, and that was my first introduction to Schutzen back then. So I was doing pet dogs, guard dogs, putting on a suit, biting, doing protection stuff with Chris. But Chris, like, you need to check out John. So the Schützen Club was maybe 45 minutes from where we were in Stamford, in Danbury, Connecticut. And man, it's the first time I saw a dog heads up heeling and prancing like it was like a unicorn walking next to a human being. I'm like, what is happening? These dogs smashing sleeves, outing clearly, machine gun holding barks, bro. I was like, whoa, what is this? I was a little bit of an athlete back then, man. So obviously my natural gravitation was to do helper work, man. I was just obsessed with it, man. That was my little niche at the time. Like that was a little bit of an athlete. They put me in the suit, the sleeve, and I just ran with it, man. I could not get enough working dogs, man. I was young back then. My neck, my back, my knees now can't do it like I used to. But man, I was obsessed. And another one of God's alignments was there was an individual. It was called the Connecticut Working Dog Association, and it was sport. It was New England region. They were putting up a lot of hardware in that game, winning a lot of competitions, and I was helping with the helper work, but watching all the phases, obedience and tracking. In the club, there's a guy named Bill Scribner, who was also a canine guy. He was a canine trainer and handler, and he also ran. He was a president of the Connecticut Police Work Dog Association, so he was a Schützen competitor and a canine guy. He's like, hey, meet me here on a Wednesday night. So I'm like, got it. Threw me in the suit. Hooked, bro. Hooked.
Taking bites from police dogs.
Police dogs. Yeah. Yep. They were Napa Water Group, North American Police Work Dog Association. I got to help them do cert prep, training days, and I think I did actually work a couple certifications for them. And bro, that was when I heard the war stories, man. The dog bites, the bailouts, the pursuits, bro. I'm like, that's for me. That's something I really want to do, man. And back then they had Polaroid pictures of the dog bites. They didn't have these fucking smartphones, bro. Like,
so funny.
It was awesome.
Yeah, instead of, hey, look at this, they got like baseball cards on them, right, in their trunk.
Yes. Yeah, back then they're on the dashboard where you can open display them, right? So, but yeah, it's just a wild event, man. I remember this guy named Frank McDermott. We chat on Facebook now. I think he's a lieutenant with Hamden PD up there. Maybe he's retired by now, but just all these guys, all these folks, man, that had a crucial involvement in my development that always opened those doors for me. And we come from a law enforcement background. You probably got approached a million times about people, hey, let me come out and decoy for the canine guys and gals. Like, it's such a difficult door to open, and I just was so lucky to have it open for me.
It's very surprising, yeah. We never let, quote, civilians onto the training field.
Yeah, we're talking.
I don't know why, but it's, I mean, I do understand a little bit why, but especially when the civilian world, and probably at exactly this decade that we're talking about, into the 90s, into the 2000s, where the sport world, the civilian world, is surpassing the abilities of normal police canine units.
Yes.
We're still stuck in the Stone Ages.
100%.
Sounds like, though, these guys were ahead of the curve, too, though, in Connecticut.
They were, and they still are. Todd Mona's a good buddy. I just saw him yesterday at a conference in South Carolina. He's taken over that group, and man, Todd's been there, done that. He's been shot, he's been stabbed, his dog's been shot, and continue to bite. He found like Puerto Rico's most wanted, like #1 hitman. Like, he's done it, bro. And he's raised dogs from puppies. Like, these guys are doing it. That's what's crazy to watch the evolution, because it was back then, it was the Stone Ages. It was yank and crank, get dragged around on a choke chain. The old theory was, #1, if your dog didn't bite you, it was a bitch and we didn't want it, right? So that was the old stupid caveman bullshit. But the old theory of that a street dog, that's a street sweeper, a chainsaw on the end of a leash, cannot do control. It's absolute bullshit, man. So that
still exists today.
It does in some parts, but it's the evolution. Like my buddy Eric Good, bro, Fort Lauderdale canine guy, bro. He's out there doing it, man. He's out there. He's got body cam footage that's public record of tracking the dog, taking cover and concealment, sending dog in. Dog makes apprehension, lows, coming back to a competition heel on the street. Like, it is possible. So those days are crumbling, especially with the technology, man, with body cam footage. And I mentioned social media before. Like, we didn't have it, but now there's no excuse. It's a twofold kind of deal, double-edged sword, right? Like, because there's so much information out there that's accessible and free. And the technology and the smoke and mirrors editing, like, you don't know what's good and what isn't. Like, the kids coming up today that are new into this game, sometimes you can be fooled by the smoke and mirrors shit. But back then we didn't have any of that, man. We just had to go by, like, you were a victim of your geography, right? So whoever was around you, that's what you knew, right? So interestingly enough, a guy named Phil Holscher, who's like the OG, like, godfather of Schützen in this country. Like, he had a very powerful club in South Florida, in Miami, out in the Redlands, off Chrome, way out there, man. You remember those days? Yep. And he used to come up to Connecticut twice a year to put on a clinic. And him and I linked up, and he's like, if you ever want to come to South Florida, let me know. I was this close to buying a building to start my dog training business in a town called Stratford. And I went to go look at the map of the business. We were this close to signing, bro. And the dude had lied about the property lines, so I had to back out. Called Phil. I'm like, I'm coming, bro. So he hooked me up with a gal in the club, had a room to rent. And he immediately hooked me up with pet training. He hooked me up with some protection dog work. And I was like one of the club helpers. And he had athletes in that club. He traditionally cranked out helpers that were doing all the national events.
Wow.
So I had a dog down there. I put a Schutzen 1 on him. It was actually a guard dog I got from Chris. One of the first guard dogs, but he's like, go and grab that dog. I went to get him. The dog bit me in the fucking ass. And then next thing I knew, man, I begged Chris to let me have him because he was cool as shit. I was really nervy. I didn't know anything at the time. Like he was in like a 6x10 run. You know how these kids like do the X Games, the skateboards, like they're skating all over. This dude was hitting like all 4 panels of the kennel 6 feet high. Bum, 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 hit the ground. Bum, bum, like an
What kind
athlete.
of dog?
Mal, Belgian Mal.
Wow.
Kouke's Rigor. Kouke's kennel is a very powerful kennel producing top dogs. Actually, his littermate brother, I think, won the 2006 KMPV National Championships. Like, good blood. He was a nerve bag mess. Didn't know it at the time, but man, this dog taught me so much. So I took him, Schutzen 1, up in Buffalo, New York, moved down to South Florida with Phil, put the 2 and the 3 on him. I actually won the club championship with number 2, so I got some sports stuff. Simultaneously, I'm processing with the town of Davie Police Department.
What age are we talking now? 27, 28?
26, 27. I moved to South Florida in like around Thanksgiving of 2000. So 24 years ago, man, whatever. Someone's got a calculator. I can't do that. I'm 51 now.
Okay.
So again, more of God's alignment. One of the participants in the Schutzen Club, one of the members of the club was a guy named Marlon Lewis, who today is like the number 2 guy in the town of Davie in their administration. So long story short, Marlon and I connected. I'm like, man, he's like, you got to come to Davie. And I was living in Southwest Ranches, out where the old house was, bro. So he's like, you got to meet these guys. So I went out to one night on a Wednesday night, Davie Police Department, where I met your dad, and out in the backyard there. We used to train by the PD. Bro, immediately, I don't know why, got me in the suit and the sleeve. Let me start
Day
helping.
one.
Yep. And I had about 10 years of dog training experience up to this point. And my sport background was really assisting these guys and getting them cert prep. Like, so the control, the secondary obedience, the outing techniques.
I can imagine, without talking crap or anything, but I'm assuming those dogs are probably pretty dirty. Their obedience is not probably where it needs to be. The outs probably aren't where they need to be.
Nope. And back then, Greg Mize, who was my lieutenant back then, and another guy named Greg Brillant, who was with the Hollywood Police Department, were the very first units to bring the Malinois to South Florida.
This is around this time.
Yes.
That you get there.
In the early, I got hired in 2001 by Davie.
Yeah.
So the Malinois maybe got down there a few years prior to a guy named Kenny Mathias, who used to be Orchard Knoll Kennels right here in North Carolina. I don't think he's still in the game anymore. Monsters, bro. Monsters. Like, the dogs have changed so much in my time. Like 30 plus years ago, you go to Holland, drop down $2,500 on a KMPV trial field, and buy a dog, maybe whatever, the winner or 10th place, monster. If you can get that dog into a kennel, on the plane, off the plane, out of a crate, into your kennel at home without getting murdered, that's box check number 1. You couldn't break these dogs. You could put your shitty e-collar on them, big Tritronics box, it looks like a toaster with a Joe Weider weight belt around their neck, and try to burn them into submission to get through the certification. And there was plenty of horsepower to hunt and eat on the street if you didn't get fucked up in the process. Like, they were monsters. And those are the dogs that I grew up on. So in the clubs that I worked in, the guard dogs, monsters, bro. You couldn't break them. Now you fast forward the tape, what's changed the modern world of dogs, what's affected all of us, the dogs are still very good, but that dog that you would buy 30 years ago is 2.5 years old, maybe more. Mature beast. I was sitting in the academy when that first plane hit the tower, 9/11, and it changed the world in a lot of ways. We never want to go back to 9/11, but bring me back to 9/12 right away. It's when the world embraced us as cops. But what it also changed was the global demand on dogs. It went through the roof. Like, you couldn't, like, every breeder became a vendor, and now the supply could not fill the demand. So everybody's cranking out dogs. So now what happens is the dogs are much younger, right? And they need way more nurturing. All right, they mean way more development. And you go to a vendor and you're looking at this dog. He's like, yeah, he's 14, 16 months old, bro. You're looking at the bristly puppy coat, pearly white teeth. He's bouncing around like a kitten, 9 or 10 months.
Yeah, exactly.
You put that old shitty e-collar on him and burn him, you're breaking dogs left and right. The other major factor about why the dogs have changed, and I say this in any forum that I'm training, any group, that women make far better dog trainers than men. They smoke us, bro. They have that touch, and what Bart Bellin calls it the little hand, which there's a translation in Flemish. It means the touch in the field to be able to communicate with a creature who learns through association, has emotion and needs. And women have that connectivity where we can apply the pressure as cavemen, but we sometimes lack that intuition to connect with that creature. But back then, the gals, and don't get me wrong, there's plenty of gals that can handle an aggressive dog. This is not what I mean. And I fell in love with my wife when I saw her discipline our 1,200-pound quarter horse when he got out of line. Like, I'm like, oh, she's mine. Like, to handle that beast, right? So there's plenty of gals that are out there doing it. Don't get me wrong. But as a whole, like, most gals don't want the dogs biting them. Mm-hmm. So what the breeders have also done is manufactured this driven animal that's very handler sensitive. Mm-hmm. So that's changed the way we've had to train in a lot of different ways. So those are big factors in my upbringing in dogs as a whole. So, and I'll tell you again, it's the same, bro. The gals are out there killing it in the suit. They're putting dudes to shame. Like, I travel coast to coast and I see it. It's no longer male dominated industry. It's pretty wild, man, to see what's happening out there. It's one of the biggest changes in that. So the evolution of the dogs changing and why and how they've changed has forced us as cavemen of yesteryear to evolve and develop with more inducive techniques to learn how to connect with these dogs on a much deeper level. And being connected and introduced to Bart Bellin, who I first saw in those Learberg videos, right, in the mid-'90s. Like, if you follow him at all, he had the dog that he won the ring championships with the MVBK, the Belgian ring, was a dog named Zot. Bro, a monster, had a head about the size of this recliner, bro, like a beast. To watch him do what he was doing in those competitions, butt naked, no equipment, and the distraction that the decoys were putting on the dog with environmental distractions, I'm like, bro, like, cops can't get their dogs out of the car. Like, what is happening here?
And to clarify for folks listening, we're talking like a robot dog, a dog on and off switch, incredible control, yet at the flick of the switch or the snap of your finger or one command, the dog's a monster.
Dangerous
Destroy.
Dog. Dangerous.
Yeah,
so
the best of both worlds.
Mm-hmm. A dog you don't see much anymore. And we'll talk more about my retired dog, Zeke. My Zeke was a throwback. But every now and then, like, these recessive genes pop up and you see these beasts. And a lot of folks in modern training don't know how to deal with these dogs. And, you know, to put it bluntly, when I have a class coming up in Raleigh with Carlos Ramirez and Mike Nesbitt, and they're, in my opinion, the most talented decoys on the planet. And they do all the bite development stuff. They're doing all the marker training with the dogs and the communication in the suit, teaching young decoys, building dogs. Like, they can tap into a dog's soul. You know, I've seen it so many times. We travel and train. They have this aura about them where I'll see a dog with street bites and Carlos is standing there in the middle of a room, standing there, bro. The dog comes into the room with the handler. The dog looks at Carlos, looks at the handler, goes, "You got this, bro. I'm out."
Really?
He's got this aura about him. And he talks about it. He puts himself in a very dark place mentally, and he projects that chemistry to the dog by just fucking standing there.
Think they can smell that?
Yes. It's the mindset. Mm-hmm. Plus that motherfucker's like 6'7" and shit. That helps, you know. But
for sure.
I never had that. You know, I've been able to develop a lot of dogs in a lot of different aspects of police work, sport work, help people get to national events and shit like that. A lot of dogs handling shit on the street, but I didn't have that. I didn't have that aura, right? So again, you know, spiderwebbing and getting on all these tangents and stuff too. But it's you know, to watch that grow. Like, when we do those classes together, I end up being what I call the butcher shop. All right. So I do the control work normally. Like, we travel and train. There's a lot of dogs that have not opened their mouth in years. There's, like, in Tennessee, there's no state standard. Where we come from is the land of liability. You need multiple certificates behind you, right? And up there in Tennessee, you could literally check a dog out of a pound, go nuke somebody on the street and go be like, I don't like his ears, put him back, grab another one, like, no standard. So when I travel, there's dogs that have to open their mouth today. Like, I have a lot of inducive techniques, the force fetch.
And by open their mouth?
Outing, releasing on command. right? Dropping, whether it's flesh or material in training, they must do it when we speak.
And tell the folks at home why that is so important.
Well, when you're in the middle for liability reasons, number one, you're obligated once the suspect is secured, ideally in cuffs or detained in a secure way, the dog must be removed. When you've obtained compliance, there's no longer active resistance. You have to remove the dog. You have to, or
Body cameras nowadays.
all that shit.
We cannot have 30-second outs,
Nope.
60-second outs.
Right.
Or those outs that you're seeing sometimes too, and the dog just
Yes.
redirects right on the handler, then
Yep.
redirects back on the suspect who's already in handcuffs. It's ugly.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. So, yeah, absolutely. So when I travel and train, that's usually the aspect that I work on because, again, it comes from my background.
Just begging for, can please Justin Rigney fix my out?
And I have quick fixes. I have tools and techniques that will make it happen today. And again, that comes from the old school. Right. And I think there's always a moment and a time. There's always a place for the old school. I'm a huge new school guy. I'm all about the modern techniques. I would much rather have my hands on a dog for weeks to make him enjoy outing, to make him understand that outing is the dog's advantage. But again, there's certain circumstances where it's got to happen. It's got to.
Especially to fix years of doing it incorrectly.
Yes. Yep. You know, we're not going to take it too deep of a dive into behavior and tools and techniques, but there's a certain e-collar company that's making dogs bite harder. And it's the most popular, most utilized tool in law enforcement, military, hands down. We've talked about it. It delivers a deep muscle contraction.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying out as they're pushing the button, and it makes the dog's jaw clamp down on what they're biting. And through classical conditioning, out now becomes in.
Bite harder.
Bite harder.
Yeah. I think I've demonstrated that with the e-collar on my arm.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
And we're knuckleheads as cops, so the dog won't out. We go down, hard out, choke him off, line him up, and like, let's try a recall. So we send the dog down range, decoy takes off. Here, the dog says, its tail becomes like this giant middle finger and says, bro.
Yep.
And we push the button telling the dog, hey, come on back. And what the tactile signal says, and tactile communication overrides verbal, the tactile signal says, get down there. Bite harder, because dog training 101 is shutting off pressure.
Yep.
God created that. There's no dog trainer on earth that created that. So these tools that a lot of folks are using are causing the problem, causing it. So, long story short, man, I'm babbling. So Davey, I was very, very blessed. I was doing some breeding at the time. So we're going back.
So we're rolling back to, you're now just getting hired with Davey.
Got hired.
Yep. Probably already, I'm making the assumption here, with your already canine background, you're already decoying for them before you're even hired by them.
Yep.
You're getting hired with Davey with full intentions of getting into the canine unit.
Yes. Okay. Yep. That was my goal. I ended up being addicted to the streets more than the criminals were that I hunted. I fell in love with police work, man, to a level that was probably unhealthy. Like, loved it. And the dogs drew me there. So the combination of using the dog and being a cop, that was my main goal.
Yeah, because if you could start a chase and you could get a bailout, that was just one more opportunity to test your dog and let him do what he is bred and raised and trained to do. Yep.
I love the hood, bro. I was very comfortable in the hood, man. I love the hustle. I love the street. There was that line of respect. They know the folks in the hood, the people out there committing crimes. They know when they do shit, they're expecting a dog bite or an ass whooping. But this younger generation that's hiding behind a badge, bro, running their mouths, and crossing that barrier of respect, I understood how the hood operated, man, and I was very comfortable there, and even I'm not a numbers guy at all. I can barely read and I can't do math for shit, but I would pull the analytics of crimes, like where were the cars stolen from, where were the robberies taking place, and I'd triangulate between where the stolen cars were dumped and recovered and where the crimes committed. Like these cats are creatures of habit like we are. There's certain parts of the county I could sit in a gas station and every night, bro, there goes a stolen car, boop, 41 suspect or armed robbery suspect. So I was lucky, but I was also calculated, man. I was in it for the reasons that you saw, man. And we're gonna talk about war stories later, but my very last dog bite, and there's gonna be special force operators hearing this, other canine gals and guys, like, don't ever come to me for tactics. I'm not that
I've heard you say that
I'm not
before,
that fucking guy, bro. Like, I was very cognizant and aware of not putting people in danger, but I did a lot of shit by myself too, which was dangerous, man. I shouldn't have done it, but my desire to get those motherfuckers is probably too much. Mm-hmm. So I'm sitting at this gas station, man. I had a 1-dog patrol school going on, a kid from Boynton Beach, Chris Schulk, really good dude. So we had just tracked the dogs. They were pretty smoked, man. So we pulled over to the gas station, get a drink.
And I want to catch us up here because we have bounced around a bit.
Yeah, my bad.
You're deep into your career now.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and go with the story.
We'll wait, man. Let me go in order. So
yeah, it might be better for us. Let's save that.
I'm still in Davie.
You're talking about your last bite.
Yeah, I'm still in Davie, and here we are talking.
So we will fast track though. You get hired with Davie. You probably fast track to the canine unit. What, within a couple years?
No, bro. I was off probation for like 2 months.
Bang.
Yeah, years probation. Right in
the canine.
Yeah, helping them the whole time.
And this is 2001, 2002, something like that.
So, well, what happened in the academies, I was about 3/4 of the way through and blew my shoulder out in DT. Took me about a year to get back. So I lost a year in the academy. So I probably hit the road early 2002.
Okay.
So
on the
02, yeah.
Well, tell us about your first dog. I'm assuming you get a dog pretty quickly.
Well, this is kind of another blessing that I experienced. I was doing breeding at the time. And the very first dog that I utilized, I saw him take his very first breath on my living room floor. And also I held him when he took his last at like 12 years old, man. Get choked up thinking about it now. You can't put it's a very difficult relationship to explain to somebody until you walk that walk. Like it's wild, man. It's like, it's a very deep connection to the animal, especially because of my background. Like the animals were a deep connection. So,
and you're literally spending 23 and a half hours a day.
More time than you are with your family.
Yeah.
Yep.
Going to work with them,
Yep.
At home with them, training with them, everything.
Everything, man.
Yeah.
So that was like one of my greatest accomplishments, which sounds like nothing to the lay person, but to watch him take his first breath and his last, and in between those breaths, to watch him evolve into a very strong, powerful dog.
Malinois?
The Malinois, yep.
Is this the breeding of the dog you talked about, the junkyard dog turned Schutzen 3?
It was a daughter of his.
Okay.
Bred to an extremely strong police dog from Lauderhill.
Okay.
Dog was a beast, man. If folks that aren't listening to this, that don't, Lauderhill is
the hood.
The fucking hood, bro. Like,
and anybody that's offended by that, it's too bad. We're talking about very rough, the type of area you don't want to get a flat tire or stop at a gas station.
Yeah.
Among many other places in South Florida.
Yeah, there's very few that are actually okay to go to, man.
Yeah. So anyways, you're already breeding, and it's really cool because this doesn't always happen. You're able to take a dog that you bred and bring it into the police department.
Yep.
Which is cool. Because usually these dogs
happen now.
They're bought from vendors, maybe donated. They're coming from overseas.
Yep.
But you're not typically taking not that it's a pet dog, but technically it's your personal property. I'm assuming they rented it from you for $1 a year or something? Yes. Or how did you
that's how it was.
Paperwork, right?
So my first and my last were like that. My middle dog was traditional.
What was his name?
This is Vader was his name.
Vader.
Yep. He only had 2 street bites, man, and I left a little early. I'll tell about that story later, but his very first bite was fucking great, bro. Like, it was a dope deal. They had set this dude up to deliver some coke in a trailer park, right? Little shitty trailer park on Griffin Road and 441, right by where the Hard Rock is now, that area.
Yeah.
That shit wasn't there back then.
Yeah.
So, sitting in the bushes with at the time, my sergeant became my lieutenant, bro.
And slow it down for the folks, because they're not all cops or top background. I'm assuming the narc unit setting up a deal for this guy to deliver dope?
Cocaine.
Okay.
Yep. Deliver a pretty decent amount. I'm not talking like birds and kilos and shit, but a really good amount of coke, which ended up being pretty good.
So this is supposed to be a takedown?
Supposed to be a takedown. And I was on standby in case he ran, and he did, like a jaguar, bro. Like, so I'm sitting in these bushes getting fucking assassinated by mosquitoes, bro.
Daytime.
Typical it was nighttime, yeah. Typical South Florida, disgusting, 100% humidity. The fucking mosquitoes are the size of parakeets, bro, and they'll fucking eat you, annihilate you. And they were.
You and Vader.
Chilling
How
in the
old was
bushes.
he at this point?
Young, bro. Like, I think he went through school at about a year.
So he's making a year and change.
Yeah, had a lot of good foundation training.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Yeah.
But I'm already picturing you didn't wait 2 or 3 years to get on the street. So
nope. He had actually a French ring foundation. A buddy of mine named Gus Artilles, big ring guy down in West Palm Beach, bro, put the foundation on him, man. And it's crazy. Like, he at about 5 or 6 months old, he wanted to murder like joggers and bicyclists. He ended up being an extremely dangerous dog. He was very good with my ex-wife and my kids at the time, like Kitten. but a dangerous motherfucker, bro. Like my first and my last were like.
But you already knew probably what you were going to do with him. You needed him to be turned on.
Yeah, yep. And he was about it, man. So
here we are. We're in the bushes.
Yeah, waiting, bro. And it's like, bro, the clock's just like it feels like you're there forever.
Well, they never show up on time for these.
Dope time, bro. Doper time. They spin the block just for days, bro. Like, actually, it wasn't too bad in retrospect. He showed up at a decent time, so he pulls in front of a trailer. It was a really shitty small horseshoe-shaped kind of trailer park. So he pulls into like the bottom part of the horseshoe where it would be, and he pulls in right in front of the trailer, and there's cars parked everywhere. But as he pulls in, the two unmarked cars pinch him, front and back bumpers. And bro, so I get out with the dog to make the approach to the assault on the vehicle, and he, gone. Like a fucking Olympic athlete, bro. Like gone. Fucking Usain Bolt running down the fucking street like lightning, bro. I send the dog. This motherfucker's outrunning my dog.
Wow.
Bro, like after we got him in custody, bro, I'm like, bro, why aren't you in the fucking NFL, dude? Like you're fucking like a ghost. Like you're gone. So anyway, he's running down the fucking trailer park, and he's looking over his shoulder, and it's dark as shit. I see shit flying in the air. I'm like, he's throwing dope. It was his shoes and socks.
Oh, he's just running out of.
He ran out of his fucking shoes and socks, bro. The shoes couldn't keep up with his ass, bro. Like, motherfucker was like lightning. So he's looking back, bro, and there's a parked car. Like he had no choice. He wanted to go Starsky and Hush that bitch. Like he put his left hand on the roof to try to jump over and slide across the roof, and he just made it, and the dog grabbed his left wrist and pulled him down. And by the time I'm out of breath, it was probably like 20 yards. But my fat ass gets down there, and the way he fell like almost like his back to the driver's side of the door, and I hockey checked that motherfucker through the fucking door, bro. I smashed this bitch. And then the dog fucking was just doing his very first opportunity. That's awesome. Yeah, bro, we fucking smashed him.
And it's honestly kind of rare, at least in Miami. We didn't get a lot of straights. Our bites were always in the backyard, someone hiding in the shed. But for your first bite out of the gate to be a running target. Yep. And for the dog to engage, which maybe played into it, the fact that he was running, Yes. Most of the time we're encountering passive subjects, and we get a lot 100%. Of failures to engage. So it was a
layup, bro. It was a gimme, a ground ball. Like I couldn't ask for a better scenario for a first time for that dog. And again, I had a really good feeling, bro, because he had that twinkle in his eye from a fucking puppy. Yeah. Like he was an angry dog. So it went very well, bro. Dude in custody, and it's to the layperson, they're probably saying, "Oh, you're a grizzly, you're a beast." I'm like, it was like. Bro, it was like winning the fucking World Series for me. Like I'm a little bit of a bitch, but like in my background, I almost get like teary-eyed, so proud of my fucking dogs for the work that they do, bro. Like to see it, cause especially being a dog geek, being deep in training, and then especially raising that dog, bro. To watch it all come to fruition, yes. I can't explain the feeling, man. It was just amazing opportunity, and
because there's an opposite feeling. Yep. When that layup is tossed.
Yes.
Or you're called up, and it's like, you're up.
Yep.
Canine, do what canine does, and your dog's eating shit.
Yes.
Your dog is fucking bites the wrong person.
Right.
Doesn't engage.
That's the big one.
So it's hard to explain too. You can get into canine. Good job. You can pass certification. Who gives a fuck?
Yep.
It's not until you really use the dog, you get your first bite under your belt, or you really, for lack of a better word, in the club. Mm-hmm. You've earned your wings, so to speak. And even then, that's just the beginning. Yep. So that's a great introduction, though.
Yeah, nice it sure was, bro. And his second bite was a burglar, man. He fucking tracked him and was like milli-inches away from removing the dude's calf. It looked like a legit shark attack, man. The dog was very, very strong. He was a 90-pound dog. Beast, MVBK lines, if anybody's familiar with bloodlines.
90-pound Mal is a lot of dog.
Bro, a lot of dog. It was cool. He's like, again, a kitten with my kids, who my last dog was not, which we'll talk about him, man. So
2 bites with Vader.
Yep.
And then I'm assuming his career's cut short because you have to leave the unit. You end up going to
Palm Beach County.
Right.
Politics reared its ugly head for me, man. Early, it was constantly an ebb and flow of politics in my police career. But I'm grateful for it all for today. It was shitty deals going through it. Like I really have a lot of love for the folks at Davie, man. It was just a shitty situation. I had to leave the unit. I was given an ultimatum to stay in canine or to run my pet training business separately. I had a young family, stay-at-home wife, my ex-wife stay at home, and I had to make that brutal decision to leave canine. I stayed in the agency for a couple more years. At that time, there was a mass exodus from Hialeah PD, and we grabbed them all.
Mm-hmm.
Man, these dudes are...
Because Davie's growing like a weed at this time.
Bro, it's huge
This
agency.
is where I lived at the time.
Right.
This is my father tried to get me on that department.
Yeah.
But so you spent 2 more years there, like in patrol, basically, or
Yeah,
you're not in
patrol.
canine,
No.
so that you could continue to put food on the table.
Yes.
And for the folks who don't know, you're already going all the way back then.
Yes.
You're running pet training.
Pet training. Yes.
Yeah.
The whole time, the entire 30-year stretch, maybe little breaks here and there from moving and whatever. I've always trained pets.
Specializing mostly in boarding and training.
Board and train, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was running around doing some private lessons too here and there, but I tell everybody, man, if you want to learn how to train dogs, train pets.
Yeah.
100%.
No, they don't get it.
No, they don't.
When we get our hands on a high drive dog, it's like, it's just, I say it this way. It's not hard to drive a Ferrari fast around a racetrack.
Right.
You give me that 4-year-old lab that has no food drives, bit 2 people,
Yep.
is a dick, been getting away with murder for 4 years.
Yes.
It's like trying to take a 4-cylinder Honda Civic where only 3 cylinders are working and it's got 90,000 miles on the odometer and not get that to go around the
Yes.
track. Yeah.
Yes. Or even the nervy little mutt that is scared to breathe and live, bro. And to make sense to that animal, give it an existence, give it clarity, how to communicate with its environment, its people, and meet its needs, and then have that tail start to come up. And like to me, bro, don't get me wrong, the dog bites and the hunts, like the man hunts were fucking where it's at, but that gives me such a deep intrinsic reward to watch those dogs evolve. When you can connect those dots with that very weak nervous system with no drive and make it look like it really enjoys the program, that's dog training. So whether it's putting your teeth on shit, putting your nose on shit, healing, tracking, detection, whatever it may be, dog training is dog training. Yeah. If you don't understand how that operating system functions from from nose to tail, you're lost, man. Yeah. So
I still verbally like yell with excitement, like yes, when we have a little breakthrough moment with whatever dog.
For sure.
I still, every little moment,
yes.
It's all about the little breakthroughs. You come out in that training session, like, I'm gonna try to hit this goal today. Get this dog to have a verbal down.
Yeah.
Maybe by the end of the session, he nails it. Like, yeah. So stupid, but I get excited.
So, fast forward the tape in 06, we always lived in Palm Beach County. I was driving 60 plus miles one way down to Davie every day. And we just made it was wearing on me. I had a couple bad incidents where I fell asleep on the turnpike on my way home, and this just wasn't worth it, man. So I always needed to get back in canine. There was a reason I was in law enforcement, And
there wasn't a big future for you in Davie PD.
No.
Canine and...
In retrospect, probably doors would have reopened there with some really hard conversations and some transparency, but it was just better to move on, and I went to Palm Beach County, and at that time there was a massive hiring influence. They just couldn't find enough people, man. My ID number was 8375, and when I left after 12 years, I think they were in like the 20,000 ID numbers. Like, it's crazy, and that's everything from civilian to law enforcement side. But so I went to Palm Beach. Actually, before that, before I even left Palm Beach, I left Davie. I was in Palm Beach County working with a guy named Bob Anderson, who at the time him and I don't see eye to eye today, but at the time he was the man. He was the canine guy in that section, doing a lot nationally. And he had run into some trouble at PBSO. He had gotten booted out. He was doing pet dogs and police dogs and all that stuff. So he kind of looked at me as an underdog and saw my situation. And so anyway, we connected, man. We were very good friends for a long time, man. And he gave me training opportunities, loaded me up with pet dogs, introduced me to everybody in the circuit, would bring me to seminars, and it would put me out front to teach. And people that know Bob and back then, they would talk to me like, bro, he's never handed the reins over to anybody. So you must be doing something right. So I was honored by that. And what was fucking crazy, bro. So I come up to Palm Beach County in 2006. And it took me 3 years to get into canine. So nobody leaves, bro. Like in that unit, bro, we had it all. I'm not talking about the agency. I'm talking about K9's budget alone was $4 million.
Wow. How many dogs?
60 dogs department wide.
Dang, that's a lot of dogs.
That's everything between airport, courthouse, narcotics. The Marine unit had several dogs.
Just to put it in perspective, I think the city of Miami's K9 unit yearly budget was like $100K.
No kidding. Yeah, we
were like
had it all.
redheaded stepchildren, right?
We had Taj Mahal training facility. Everybody's whipping the latest Tahoes.
Hey, anybody that's ever driven on the turnpike down in South Florida,
you see it.
Look east, look to your right or whatever direction you're heading, you'll see that training facility.
So it took me 3 years, man, and finally somebody decided to leave for whatever reason, and I got the spot. And the lieutenant at the time, a guy named Mark Halpern, I have a lot of respect for, great dude. He pulled me aside. He goes, I know how well you train dogs, but he says, I need a handler. I don't need you training dogs. And another dear friend of mine, bro, that we've been through so much shit together. We talk all the time today. He's like, do not become a trainer. Do not.
He knew something.
He knew it was a death sentence for me. And this sounds arrogant as shit, bro. Like, and there's probably a lot of people that are in our circle that would understand it, but the amount of energy, blood, sweat, and tears and finances I dedicated to my education, the obsession that I still have today to learn about the knowledge of working dogs, fucked me. Has fucked me more times than it has helped me. There was a target on my back because of the insecure and the weak fucking delicate egos that were fucking dogs up left and right. And when they present you with a problem or another handler comes to you on the down low because they've been fucking things up for years and you fix it not in 3 days, 3 sessions, work them, put them up, and it's rock star shit, that makes pee-pee shrink. And they can't fucking handle that shit, bro. And that
a lot of egos in the canine world.
Damaged, bro.
Both in the civilian and law enforcement realm.
Yep.
In fact, I'll pause you right there. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. Folks, now when we come back, we're going to listen to Justin Rigney tell us some more crazy stories about canine deployments, and one in particular that I can't wait for you all to hear, where a suspect pulled a knife on him and he had to make a very critical decision. This podcast is sponsored by DIYcanine.com, where we help you train your dog from zero to hero. We'll see you in the courses. All right, now we're back. So I'd like to pick up, you're in Palm Beach County, 3 years in, to get you in the unit.
Yep.
He gives you that warning. Whatever you do, don't become a trainer.
Yeah.
And so take it from there.
I didn't listen. It's such a deep passion of mine, bro. Even if I knew what was going to happen, like as we get through this and I tell you what's up, like I wouldn't change shit. I would have done it the same way.
You got people coming to you with legit needs and concerns saying, can you help me with this? And you look at it and go, I can fix that in 1 day.
Yeah.
And what are you supposed to say? No, I can't help you.
It's my calling, bro. Like there's not much I can do in this world. I can't build a fucking sandwich, bro. I can't make shit. I can't fucking do. My skill set ends at the end of the leash, bro. There's not much in this world I can do, and God has put this on my heart, bro. Like when someone comes to me with some shit, or if there's something I can make better, I have to. Like I'm compelled, intrinsically compelled. Nobody's telling me to do this. I'm not doing this to fucking make people look stupid. It's me, and it's raw and it's transparent, bro. So. You know, I'm working with the guys on the down low. I'm not a trainer, and it's hard to ignore when on a Friday afternoon the dog won't fucking out or heel, and you come back Monday and he looks like a rock star. You have some questions to answer as a handler, right? So it starts to get deeper and deeper, right? Anyway, so...
And I just want to make sure everyone's tracking, because you're helping them on the weekend. You're helping them on your off time.
Their time.
Yeah.
Down low.
And now the dog comes back perfect, and the trainers are befuddled.
Yes.
And then I'm making the assumption they start to figure it out. Like, God damn, man. Justin's going behind our back.
They
shouldn't say it that way.
They connected the dots, right? So.
And now they're getting jealous. They're getting, I thought we told this guy. We're the trainers. I'm just making assumptions here.
No, you're right, bro. You know what happens, bro. You've lived this life, and if other cops and like they're gonna say, "Yep, it's it, bro." My ability to travel this country, I hear this fucking story.
Yeah, never undermine a trainer.
Broken record. Yeah. Same with dudes getting booted from canine, gals, like the dumbest shit, bro. Yeah. So, you know, we're a few years into it. I'm handling, and the other bad part of what I do is being obsessed with it. I'm putting up big numbers.
Arrests.
I'm finding people. I'm dog biting motherfuckers. Like when I talk about my shooting, you're gonna hear like it's a very weird thing that happened and very rare occurrence in law enforcement, how it broke down. But So
I'd like to hear about, for me, man, I'm very visual. Tell me about the second dog you got. I'm assuming Vader you couldn't bring over to Palm Beach?
no, I kept. By the time I got into the unit, he was probably 9 years old.
Oh, so this
He was
is
too
too
old.
old, yeah.
We tried at some point to get him in a street. I was in Wellington District in a street crimes unit. They tried to get him assigned to street crimes because he's still. But by the time he was done, man.
Okay.
So my second dog from Tony Guzman, Metro Dade Canine, down in Dade County, Florida, in Miami. And I've known Tony since my Schutzen days, back down in the Redlands with the South Florida Schutzen Club. So I've known Tony, man, like 30-something years or whatever, 20 plus years. And if folks don't know, like he is one of the two top vendors in this country, like him and Adlerhorst on the West Coast. Like they have brought in habitually, traditionally, over and over the top dogs in the country. And I've had my hands on a lot of them, bro. A lot.
Think he's probably been in the game since the 80s?
Yeah. Yep.
So we're talking, what are we talking now? 40 plus years of going overseas, selecting dogs, bringing them here.
A really legit legend, an OG in this game that we play.
I got some Tony stories.
Yeah.
Tony story. Everybody does, yeah. And we can describe him. What is he? I don't want to offend Tony. 5'8".
My bro, he's like 6'8", bro.
Yeah.
Personality, 6'8".
A lot of Cuban guy, Cuban American.
Awesome.
And he's like a little Malinois himself, isn't he?
Fucking bro, he knows dogs, man. He produces dogs, so
he has the aura that you talked about. The meanest, and the baddest of dogs.
Yes.
Tony walks in the room and they're like, "Oh
shit,
yes, sir. Whatever you say, sir."
Yeah.
Tony don't screw around.
Nope.
So, anyways, you get a Tony dog.
Yeah, and I have so much respect for Tony, man. His son Anthony bringing it up,
Anthony's
bro.
bringing it.
It's just I'm such a fan of this game, bro. To watch those like that multi-generational thing. Like we talk Mark Plunsk. We talked a little bit about him. He did my first canine school in Davie. His boys are both canine handlers.
That's crazy.
Bro, to watch the multi-generational things. It's so cool. I'm a fangirl of this shit, bro. I'm not just checking this box. So
tell us about the Tony dog.
So it's crazy. So here's an example. I had a lot of, probably at this point in time, like flirting with 15 years of professional dog training experience. I was not allowed to select my dog.
You know, that was my next question. Like, hey, since you're tight with Tony and you know what you want, did you say, hey, Tony, get me this?
Yeah.
Couldn't even ask for that.
I was with a senior handler. There's two of us that went down to buy dogs. I got the one he didn't want. And thank God.
Oh.
They handed me a machine.
Oh, wow.
They handed me a fucking machine, bro.
Title dog or
nope.
What are we talking?
Nope. Shepherd. I'm sure he had a lot of work in. I mean, I don't know. No, he was not titled. He's just right at 2 years old when I got him. And he was a lot of times there's that period of time where the dog's like, what the fuck's happening in my life? Like, who's human is my human? Like,
yeah.
I bought him, got him home. Well, the agency bought him. I got him home. The next day, he was my dog. Bro, we linked.
Like that, huh?
He'd be 100, 200 yards away, whistle, bullet recall. What do you got? And it's such an engaging dog. And I lost count, bro. He worked 9 years. He worked 7 years. He had at least 10 bites a year. He probably had north of 70, 80 bites, bro. Like I lost count. My daughters, like your kids, could literally take him to show and tell. He would show them their belly, fucking nothing I did, bro. When the sperm hit the egg, that happened, bro. But just the coolest fucking dog, bro. And we found
the best house dog you could ever ask for, but the best partner on the street.
Social. He was not comfortable in the house. Like he wanted shit to do. I could put him on place for 2 days, but as a whole, like he loved his fucking kennel. He liked being social, bro, but he just wouldn't stop. He was looking for shit to do, like wherever he thought he was hunting, or he had almost a little social anxiety. Like he was so clear and social and stable, but when there was nothing going on, like sitting here chilling like you and I, he wasn't comfortable. He wasn't comfortable. So I tried to bring him in the house, and he wasn't about it. Vader, I brought him in the house when he retired. He could be a lazy fucker around the house, so he was cool. But Bosco was his name. All black German Shepherd, little stubby legs. My buddy Dan Friend used to call him Danny DeVito because this little fucker, he had a fucking like regular sized shepherd body. But you know what? Those fucking legs kept him close to the ground because that motherfucker was a Hoover in tracking.
Yeah.
He blew me the fuck away, bro. And the tracking system that I do now, like I post in my lab a lot with a hard surface tracking that I learned from Dick Stahl. Genius, dude. Brilliant training system, but it's not difficult, man. But so I didn't do that system with my second dog, Bosco. I tracked him in drive. little bit of tracking and prey and fucking a little bit of trailing. But
Like little fire trails, things like
I
that.
never did that, but we would we started in dirt actually,
Okay.
with holding the dog back. The helper would stimulate the dog with a pipe, like scuff some dirt, plant the pipe, come back, empty hands, and the dog would like a bull on a harness. But you know, German Shepherds have a little bit different brain. Some of them are out of space. Like you do that shit with a Malinois, sometimes they're fucking like they cannot think. But he was able to be in high state of drive and then default to his nose. He could go from eye stimulation to nose stimulation in an eye blink. So it worked for him.
Worked for him.
Yep. And bro, that dude found so many fucking people, bro. I can't even connect the dots, man. Like one of the greatest searches I ever had was somebody I never saw, but I found him. It was a habitual rapist. Like it was a section of Palm Beach County called shit, bro. I'm losing train of
Riviera
thought.
Beach.
Nah, it was Palm Springs. Like a 1 mile by 1 mile in the middle of our District 1 headquarters shithole. This guy was a habitual rapist. Like he was getting more and more brazen, bro. A guy was working like second shift, went for work. He broke into the house, raped the wife. They caught him. It was all in the same geographical area, bro, within a few blocks.
Yeah.
So this dude, it was the same pattern, bro. I'd get there, get the information, track this motherfucker in and out, through fences, over fences, between alleyways, gone.
Wow.
Like 3 times I went after this motherfucker.
It's personal now.
Yeah, but the crimes, like the last one so the second time I missed him, they caught him over a baby's crib. Second floor of a house, about to grab this baby out of a fucking crib. And the husband got hands on him and he was able to break free.
What's wrong with this guy, man?
So it'll make sense, man. Like it'll all connect the dots. He was a victim of the same thing as a kid. So we caught him. So the last time
fucking excuses though.
No, bro, no, he should be
But I mean,
executed.
we're talking raping women and doing stuff with babies.
Yeah,
and
no,
stuff.
he should be executed for sure, in my opinion. But
And let me ask you this: you were able to do at least 3 of those tracks. Is it because, you know, they're like, man, we know Justin's. If anyone's going to catch this guy, Justin's dog will do it, or it just
no,
happened
it
to roll
just
his
I
dice?
just had me work in that area at that time. Like I never got called out once for overtime because we had dogs 24/7.
You said 60 freaking dogs.
Yeah, well, half of them we had probably 26 dual dogs.
Yeah. Still a lot.
Yeah, so we had dogs everywhere, man. So I never got called out. So we'd work the different parts of the county, and other handlers had tracked this fucker too. He probably had at least a half a dozen cases going.
So it's crazy. So you'd always track him, and it'd always end in where the hell to go.
Yeah, if folks that are our age, my age, like beam me up, Scotty, bro, like Star Trek, like track this like dog's nose deep, all of a sudden he's gone.
Okay.
Very frustrating, bro, especially the severity of the crimes. Yeah. And then crimes against kids, bro. So they got him. He's outside peeking in a 1-story ranch, beaten off, looking in a little girl's window. The father comes out and fucking chase him. He's gone. He gives me a description. He said he's got his shirt off and he's got a white wife beater over his shoulder, right? So he took off running.
And we already know at this point it's the same guy.
Same
Description,
motherfucker.
it's the same
Location, description, like the whole pattern of his behavior, same shit. I knew it was him. Put the dog down, same thing, on rails, bro. This dog, I could track blindfolded. Like, he was a fucking hammer. If he was on the ground, there was a very good chance I'm getting him. I was that confident with this dog.
And the time delay on this one's pretty good.
Nah, you know, the longest time delay I ever worked, and I knew I connected the dots, was an hour because we had dogs everywhere.
Gotcha. All right.
So there's times that my county's huge, bro. If I'm in Boca and they need a dog in Belle Glade, it would take me an hour running code to get there. Like I've had times where they picked me up in a helicopter and dropped me for certain deployments, but for the most of the time, we're working 10, 15-minute delays, like with a witness. You know, sometimes you get the bullshit information that's way longer, but as a whole, we never worked really long delays. Didn't have to.
To this particular story, we got a fairly good time delay.
10, 15 minutes, man. No, I was working that area because it transfers radio stations. It was one agency looking for an assist. Palm Springs didn't have a dog, so they had to call the sheriff's office. So maybe a few minutes delay there, but I was close, man. I work these pockets all the time, so they're quick. Put the dog on the ground. He's fucking smoking it, man. He's ripping through parking lots. It was not urban, not suburban. It was like a mix of shit. I remember he punches through this chain link fence, comes out to another street where it's a bunch of duplexes, rips across the duplex, and he's in the front of this, actually a quadplex. I think it was 4 different homes.
Daytime, nighttime?
Nighttime.
I
only worked night. I very rarely worked the day. So, bro, he's in and out all over this fucking house. He's in and out of this driveway, several parked cars in the driveway, and he stands up on the hood of this one car, there's a bag of chips and a white wife beater laying on the hood. And the dog, I continued to circle, kept expanding my grid outside that house. There's nothing leaving. Everything's going to that quadplex. I didn't know which door. Everything's going there and nothing's leaving. So you're doing your deductive reasoning as a handler saying something's here. So they knock on all the doors, bro. And this guy, he was getting so brazen. I think he wanted to be caught because I didn't stay. I had to go for another call. Put the dog in the car, give him some water, and I was off tracking somebody else right after. I called one of the officers on scene and said, hey, what's up, bro? Did you make contact? They made contact with this dude, full confession. He was an illegal from El Salvador and had been raped habitually as a kid. And he was actually like, again, I have no love for that, but he was like crying for help. Like, so he confessed to everything. So attracted, I was after this fucker for many times. I was able to connect the dots and I never saw the dude. Because of good investigative skills of the deputies on scene.
Yeah, but if it wasn't for the dog.
No, the dog put us there. Yeah.
Bosco took you to the house.
Yep.
All but to the door.
Yeah.
Took you to 104.
Actually, the car was parked right in front of the door where he was, man. So he was, what he would do, because, you know, these people will, like pyromaniacs, will light fires and sit there and watch it fucking burn and watch the fire trucks. And that's what he was doing, bro.
He would do
eating
his weird
fucking
thing
chips.
and sit there and watch the police
Watch the
run
fucking
code
police
and-
come. Yeah. So every time I was after this bitch, well, he saw me coming, he probably dipped in the house. And I wasn't able to connect the dots because of the chips and the fucking wife beater. Because you can't go knocking it. Bro, it's a shitty neighborhood. His house, there's a zero lot line. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's sometimes you don't, the elements aren't in your favor. You just don't get to connect the dots the way the dog did that night. And it's just the moon, the sun, the stars align, and we got that fucker, you know?
It's good.
Yep. So dog, man, I was his biggest fan, bro. I remember one night we were, big fucking manhunt for a domestic. Kid had stabbed his father in the back with a knife repeatedly and took off running. This is in Royal Palm Beach, kind of suburban. We had several dogs on the ground looking for this motherfucker. The dogs were all indicating the same shit, that he's still in the perimeter. Kid was probably 15 years old and had nowhere to go, bro. I think he ran in barefoot. Like, had no phone, barefoot. Like, all these things were connected. He's there. The concern was he couldn't swim, and there was water, like bodies of water too. So there's waters everywhere down there, waterways. So we're tracking, switching dogs. People are clearing different areas. Bosco's fucking smoked, bro. So I put him in a down. My good buddy Jeff comes over, and another canine guy in his car with some water for the dog. Bosco's like breathing heavy. Another lieutenant pulls up to say, hey, what do you got? Like, they wanted updates. Like, what we're thinking, like trying to look at the map where we've been, blah, blah, blah. As I'm talking to Jeff and Bosco stops drinking, he about rips my arm out of my fucking shoulder. I felt the wind shift into my face. Like, it was a dead night, bro. Stick humidity. I just felt this little breeze across my face. And the dog is allowed to break obedience for target odor, right? So he about ripped my arm out of my shoulder, across the street, through the front yard, and a row of hedges. The kid was laying right there.
Right there.
Right fucking there. And he fucking nuked him. He got him good. And it's, it's just many stories like that dog. And I have a
I think
system.
a lot of other handlers would have said, hey, what are you doing, man?
Of course.
You're drinking water.
Trust
You're
the
in a
dog.
down.
Yes. No, exactly.
And other handlers, too, still blows my mind to
Yes.
this day, like, hey, bro, have you checked the wind lately? And they go, oh, yeah, and they rip up grass and throw it in the air.
Yeah.
I can't stand that. But one of the best ways, at least in South Florida, we're blessed with that down in South Florida, your sweaty face.
Yeah.
It'll point you right into where the wind's coming from. You can feel the cool air on your face.
You know what the OGs from Davey taught me, bro, that I teach everybody this, bro? It's so simple. Your flashlight.
Yeah, shine it up.
You shine that straight in the air, and the beam, there's always dander going through the air. The particles of dander are going to tell you, no matter where you are on this planet, in the nighttime, you can see it.
Always see something, but it has to be nighttime.
Yes.
It'll even work indoors, too, in like a warehouse or something like that.
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
a great trick.
It's a trade secret, bro, but it's simple shit. It's so effective, man.
And I think, and I've never talked about this before, at least like publicly, but one of the reasons why I think my father was such a great canine handler was he had a background in sailing.
Oh, shit.
And if everything with sailing is you got to know where the wind's coming from. Otherwise, you're lost. And you can even read, if you're reading the water, you can see the gust coming and make adjustments before it flips your Hobie cat over, whatever you're steering. And so I got blessed and my father taught me how to sail. And so it was just natural. You didn't have to think about it.
Yep.
you know, every once in a while, if it's like dead wind, yeah, you'll see me pull something out, like throw a puff of baby powder in there to see what's going on, or light a match. But generally speaking, if it's blowing over a mile or two an hour, you should be able to just feel it,
Yep.
you know. But if you can't read the wind, you're kind of lost in the sauce. At least with the type of searching we did in South Florida,
Yes.
we did only area searches. None of our dogs tracked, so you had to read the wind. The wind told you where the guy was. Just like you said in your situation, wind happened to change, blew that guy's odor, special delivery.
Yes.
To your dog, and your dog said, "There he is."
But indistinguish, like you cannot argue the behavior change. It is violent change of behavior, and the dog connected the dots. He got a bite right out of school. Like
that was my next question.
Yeah, immediately.
No
bro.
failure to engage.
Nope. He always had this natural, like he would switch into prey aggression for people laying on the ground. For whatever the dot was connecting his brain. I remember when I first got him, he was like a social, like a chill lad, bro. Somebody was petting him and actually stumbled backwards, and he wanted to fuck. As soon as I hit the ground, whack.
You?
No, like the person who was petting him was somebody I knew, was very dog savvy. I trusted the dog. Happy, enjoying the petting, but as soon as they tripped backwards and fell, he switched turn. I'm like, whoa. So the first guy we got, fucking burglar, simple hand. I had to work for it. I tracked the dude, but it was a beautiful situation. Very short track. The witness put me on the ground where they last saw him running. Probably like decent lot sizes down in Boca Raton. Very nice neighborhood.
What's the crime, you think?
Burglary.
Okay.
Yeah, burglary. And a vehicle bailout. So put the dog on the ground. I round the corner, very lush fucking grass like it is down there. And I see like a nice chain link fence, bro. Like it's pristine fence and it's bent. So you know, homie did a fucking burpee off that shit, ran over it. And then the backyard was a massive ficus hedge, probably 15 feet high. And like this natural green monster like Fenway Park. Like,
so you're thinking he didn't make it out of here?
No, bro, I thought I would have heard him. Like or the deputies on scene or I forget, the witness saw him run. And I asked him, did you hear any shit like that? Did you hear anything moving? Bro, the dog went right in that ficus hedge and smashed this fucking dude. And it's funny, around where the ficus hedge stopped, there was another like stockade private fence. And I see a guy lifting up going, get that motherfucker, get him. I go, hey, get back in your fucking house. He goes,
a neighbor?
He goes, I'm 1037, which means in Palm Beach County, Broward County, law enforcement.
So he's an off-duty?
He's off-duty. Yeah. I'm like, all right, cool, so you can stay. So I get the dog off, man, and bro, like, it took, again, since the last bite that Vader had until Bosco put teeth on flesh, bro, it had to be 5 years, you know? So it was like, man, fucking homecoming.
Back in the game.
Yep. So, man, it was off and running, bro. That dog did some amazing shit. And simultaneously, I'm building handlers. Like, around that time, I think it was I handled just as a handler for 2 years, and then they brought me the training division. One of the classes I teach is called power biting, and it simply utilizes a heavy tension dog training grade bungee, which taps into deep opposition reflex. When you relieve the pressure of the bungee and the dog's on the bite, their instincts are to drive forward. And we create that driving, pushing, violent, biting behavior. It becomes predictable. And when you have predictability of a behavior, it gives you the luxury of adding cues through classical conditioning. So if I want the dog, if I'm encountering a suspect and I want my words, get on the ground, stop resisting, let me see your hands, those are biting commands. Like all my dogs had multiple biting commands. Of course, I use sexy words like stellen, Dutch word for attack or whatever the translation is. But when my dogs heard get on the ground, that meant bite violently. It was a command, and it's done through classical conditioning. But I also do it for the dogs when I introduce stick hits. I tap the dog as a handler, not the decoy. I tap the dog like I'm praising him. Like I'm praising him with a stick. He pushes forward, stick goes away, decoy activates and pray. So that becomes a tactile command to go forward. Bop, bop, and that gets more and more intense. And that's going well. Then in the same session, I hand the stick to the decoy. Decoy repeats. The dog understands I can defeat any pressure, any conflict with forward aggression. So the power biting system like truly empowers the dog when they get kicked, punched, hit, yelled, screamed at, chairs dumped on them, noises, gunshots, whatever it may be, to be classically conditioned cued to drive forward with violence. Like forward aggression solves conflict. And this is really evident about this bite, I'll tell you, with Bosco. It was a armed carjacking suspect, crashed and bailed and he did me a very good job. Crashed into a public park at like 3 a.m. The first part of the track, I could see his footprints in the dew. Like, thank you, bro. Just a little sidebar, dog geek stuff. Like, starting article, like you want the dog to connect the dots with the target odor they're trying to find. And this was a single occupant, so it was fairly simple. But a lot of times you have multiple occupants in a shitty environment. Like the dog needs to be conditioned to, say, hey, that's the target odor through scent discrimination. So what I always used to do is put the dogs, like do a placement bite on the driver's seat, because it's usually who we have the charges from. So you can imagine that fabric is soaking in all those pheromones and the chemistry. Like during fight or flight, like there's a chemical interchange of hormones and chemistry and flow that happens within a human being when they're in that mindset, right? Like we're sitting here chilling, talking about dogs and bullshitting, right? But when someone's just done a lick, triple homicide, carjacking, and they're willing to fight or die before they go back to jail, they're spitting off a much different chemical signal than you and I. We know that the dog's nose is incredibly powerful.
A lot of people call this a fear scent.
Yep, fear scent. That's basic lay terms, what we call it. Science geeks may call it pheromones, hormones, chemistry. Like it is straight that fear scent. And I've been very close to the people before I found them that I smell them.
They stink.
It's like a fucking BO. It's like a dirty gym bag.
Yeah.
And it's not just like maybe you forgot to put deodorant on. It's like this deep funk.
Yeah.
So we know the dog's nose is very powerful. They can detect minute particles of scent, but they're also chemical receptors. So they can receive that signal. And when a dog gets habituated biting bad guys in the street and they become very good at it, it's an amazing evolution in a police dog. It's like growth hormone for their drive. Like their prey drive goes up, their aggression, their food drive, their toy drive. It's growth hormone for their existence, man. It's a wild evolution to watch this. And I've been blessed to see it many times with my own dogs and plus the dogs that I've helped put on the street.
And I want to go to the idea of you're not just scenting the dog off. Why are you putting a bite on there? I know there's a reason.
Yes, there is.
I want to hear.
Yeah, so this is the geek in me. There's a membrane or a nerve called the Jacobson nerve. It sits somewhere in the dog's mouth, and it's connected to the olfactory system. It connects the taste to the smell. When a dog can taste something, put their mouth on it, it's a much deeper scent conditioning, where they say, boom, that's the target.
This is why we sometimes see your pet dog at home sniff something on the ground, then maybe licks it to intake a little more. For us, I equate it to, you might be shopping for a product, you're in the store, you see it on the shelf, but we as humans must grab it to kind of feel it, to know what are we buying here, feel the weight. Only your eyes can tell you so much. In this case, the dog's nose can tell them so much, but if they can taste it and smell it,
deeper.
Fuck
yeah,
there we go.
Absolutely. And the scent connection creates emotion. And this is like prey aggression. This is predatory aggression. My wife just had a dear friend pass away, and she was doing she treated her through hospice and took care of all of her estate and her affairs, and we had to adopt her 12-year-old pit bull. Well, the dog had been in our house for a while and was settling down, but my wife, like a week later, had to get some of the old belongings. So she put the belongings on the dining room table, and the dog was losing it. Sad, but their noses and their memories and how they connect those dots is wild. So in the beginning, when I used to put the dog on the seat, like that information, that chemical signal, a lot of times I used to have to choke the dogs off the seat and then put them on the ground. But once they understand the sequence, I put like this carjacking bailout, put Bosco on that seat. He bit it, not with like to shred it, but to investigate. You see him connecting the dots, he goes, oh, that's that motherfucker. They get so good. Like you go to a crime scene, bail out, whatever happens, homie's on the run. You get your information and you try to get last direction of travel. Bosco got so good, I would get there, I'd be like, cool story. Drop him in the crime scene. He'd be like, nope. That's the motherfucker. And all. Bro, I'm talking about contaminated fucking hood shit, like disgusting environments.
To tell him what a contaminated track would be.
Urban environment, hard service, alleyways, a sea of pavement, fucking like.
But heavily trafficked.
A lot of foot traffic.
Everywhere.
Yep. There's stray animals. There's fucking, it looks like a dumpster. There's food everywhere, garbage everywhere, humans walking around. I got a buddy that was running the LAPD canine unit, and they track off leash. Mike Gooseby, he's retired now. And I'm like, I always heard the stories that they track off leash. I'm like, bro, how? He said that all the perimeter units and the helicopter have an ongoing loop of get in your house, crime scene, whatever the verbiage is, in 4 different languages. And if they don't do it, they get prosecuted. South Florida, you tell people go in their house, get fucked. Like, they don't give a shit. They would never fly in South Florida. So, but people everywhere, garbage everywhere, hard surface, no vegetation for the dog to like connect the dots or hold odor. Like the dog would fucking vacuum shit. So anyway, carjacking guy, put the dog on a seat, dog's on the ground. First part of it, I didn't need the dog. I could see the guy's footprints. Now it gets a little more complicated. We get into some brush and it goes down a steep embankment to a lake, right? So now we always say never, but I would never deploy a dog into water on purpose. But we do a lot of water training, a lot of conditioning, desensitizing. We had keys to the water parks. Like, we had a lot of fun down there. Like, because things can go sideways. In this incident, it did. Like, if for folks that don't know, when you deploy a dog into water, they become weightless. So all the person has to do is take the bite and hold them underwater until they're dead instantly, right? So I'm tracking along this lake, and it's pretty thick brush. It's a steep embankment, and I remembered, like, it's clear. I had to jump over a fallen tree. So the dog goes over. I'm probably maybe 8 foot off the dog's back. We're in tight because of all the vegetation. Jumps over the log. He takes like maybe goes 2 body lengths ahead, and then hard left into the shoreline. As I'm stepping over that log that he just jumped over, I hear the commotion. And what homie was doing, bro, he was playing whack-a-mole. He was laying prone in about 8-10 inches of water, and when we came by, he would jump down, come back up for air, duck back down. So I had enough leash where the dog could get to him, bro. So the dog hits him on the collarbone. I drop the leash to get over that log. The guy grabs the dog by the harness and drags him out into the water. And he's about chest deep trying to kill the dog. So if you've ever been swimming in clothing, and I'm sure you guys have, like, and you have to understand the topography or the ground and underwater is like quicksand. It's muck.
Yep.
So I'm wearing big ass, like, shin high boots, all my gear, probably another 30 plus pounds of gear, exterior attack vest, thigh holster, all the gear, all my shit. And we're sinking, right? And I tell the funny story, like I'm sure your dad knows, and probably you did when your career started, that I used to carry a mag light, even till the very end of my career, right? Like,
Can't take that away from the
no, bro. Like this, like these young bucks want these million lumen little fucking candlesticks, right? They're bright as shit, but I wanted a fucking lightsaber, bro. Like, and it came in handy.
A baseball bat.
Yes, fuck yes. So the dog is got him on the shoulder, on the collarbone. He's trying to kill him. I'm trying to get to him. I'm sinking in the muck. My backup is backlighting me. It's pitch dark, right? There's a lot of shit going on. So I finally get to this guy. And I'm no cardio, no marathon runner, bro. So I'm feeling oxygen deprivation. So I take that mag light, and my intentions were to crack the fucking dude in the shoulder to break the dog's grasp. It was great, break his grasp of my dog. Zigging, zagging, splashing, I cracked the dog right in the fucking shoulder. Waka! With everything I got. Because he was deep in power biting, he bit harder. He bit harder. Dogs have way more layers of skin than us that we do. Their pain tolerance is through the roof. Like, dogs get hit by cars, don't even know it. Like, we are bitches compared to dogs. It's not the physical pain and discomfort of getting hit by a stick. It's the mental imposition of a human being doing that to the dog that causes sometimes the submission and the stress. But through the power biting, it becomes a command. It becomes, you feel that, you go forward. So next time, I tried to hit him in the shoulder again, but I missed. And I hit him, split his head wide the fuck open, lights out, got the dog's leash, and we fished everybody back to shore.
Let me ask you, man, this whole time the dog's half freaking drowning.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's up and down and up and
Yep.
and taking on water, but not letting go of the bite.
Nope.
And weaker dogs or dogs not trained in a power biting system may have let go definitely at that point. They're like, look, I'm drowning. I don't have a great grip. I'm getting blasted with a mag light.
Yep.
This ain't for me.
Right.
Which is the last thing you need when you're dealing with an armed robbery subject in a freaking lake probably filled with goddamn alligators.
Everywhere, bro.
But your dog held on.
Yep.
As a good dog should.
Thrived.
And the poor guy got.
Yep.
Poor guy just.
He took a nap.
Did he good?
Yeah, he went to the spa.
Good.
Got a spa nap. And you're right, bro. Like,
Now you had to save him from drowning this fucker.
I was exhausted, man, coming out. And the theory is why we don't deploy in the water. Like, they've put themselves in the water, right? Surround the water. They're coming out at some point, whether an alligator handles business for us down there or at some point in time, they're coming out. So there's no rush to enter the water.
But this just happened so quick.
So quickly, bro. And we've had fights like in patios where they end up in the pool. Like, Shit can go. You have to expose the dogs to it, but to intentionally deploy a dog into water is a very difficult
It's a
situation.
little suicide mission, a little bit.
I mean, maybe
Especially too, if in this case, just crazy happenstance that you happen to let go of the leash. Had you been able to hold onto the leash, maybe you'd been able to drag him to shore or something. But it just happened so quick. I can see it happening.
Yeah.
Very. So just how'd that end? I just need. So the dog's probably still on the bite. My boy's knocked out. You just use the dog, pull him to shore.
Yeah. Pull him to shore. Yeah. Use the dog as an anchor to drag him in, get him into shore. I get the dog off. We climb up that embankment. Deputies secure the dude, and he was in bad shape too, man. He drank a lot of water when he took a nap and shit like that.
Poor guy.
Well, fuck him, right? He put us there.
Fucking robbing.
And the lady the car belonged to she was in her fucking 80s, bro. She was a nighttime security lady, frail little old lady. This fucking coward took her car gunpoint. Her own personal car she was using for patrol. Piece of shit. So, there's a lot of things like that, bro. I was that dog's biggest fan. Like, he was incredible. He made it till about 12. He's buried in my backyard in Tennessee. I'll never have my hands on another dog like that. He was incredible. And my favorite dog, probably the strongest dog I had of the three was my last one, Zeke. He was like almost a combination of the first two, but without the sociability.
What made you retire, Bosco? Just age, 9, 10 years old? What?
Yeah, so my agency had pretty much a stamp at 9. 9 are done. So what I was running, kind of back to the training side. Again, man, I'm putting up numbers on the road, which makes people insecure. There was a point in time in Bosco's career where it was really me and whoever I was training covering the road. Like, I had a little scam as a trainer. What I would do is that, with your lethal force stuff, all your gun certifications your firearms are through your agency. Like, your own agency trainers are saying, yes, you're allowed to go shoot people, right? So we started pulling the same hustle with the dogs. So we would also do national certifications, but if the training sergeant witnessed an out and a recall and the dog can heal effectively, you had the green stamp to go deploy. So my scam was I'd get a dog from Tony, really the next couple of weeks still doing an evaluation, testing, seeing where their aggression are, seeing where the nerve threshold are, seeing where the weaknesses are, if any, and the environmental things. And then once I'm saying we're keeping this dog, then I dumb down the bite work to make it a low level. Same time, I'm really cranking with obedience in a modern way, not fast tracking with pressure, and then blending the worlds together. So my scam was, in my agency, we had our problems with me and them, and you'll hear about soon, but they did give me time. I was getting about 5 or 6 months to finish dogs.
I was going to say, yeah. Cannot stand in the city. We became the spot for smaller agencies to send their dogs to, or their handlers to get certified, and that's all they gave. How quickly can you get this guy on the road? It's like, you don't understand, man. The 480 is not enough sometimes.
No,
we would do our 480, and then the real training began. And for those who are listening, the 480 hours is the minimum amount of time required to pass, to get through the book work and get your FDLE certification with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, and technically with that certificate, you could hit the ground running.
Yes.
But the truth is, there's something about book work doesn't prepare you for the street, and so then we would spend at minimum at least 2 to 4 weeks to get the dog what we call dirty.
Right.
So it's really ready for the street.
Right.
That's just the way we did it. But anyhow, luckily you got to do the 6 months. I think 6 months is the sweet spot.
Especially these dogs being younger and younger.
Yeah.
So, man, I took it too personally, but if I didn't think a dog was going to be there for a handler, I would not sleep, bro. Like, it mattered way too much to me, bro. So.
And I love that, you were able to, and Tony would let you test the dogs for really, like, not just one day, 3 weeks or whatever you needed.
Well, there's a performance guarantee.
Yeah.
And I always know, man, like, Tony knew what we needed. He's not going to, there's times that things do come up that you don't see in selection.
Right.
There's things that the vendor never saw. Yeah. It happens, but very rarely with Tony. And he stood behind everything, bro. And the only dog I ever sent back to Tony was a dog that was too much for a new guy.
There you go.
That's it.
There you go.
So I'm running my scam. We'd get the dogs. The sergeant would say, you can deploy. So there was a point in time where it was me in headquarters. We always had the radio inside the car. The mic had a piece of tape around it, and we had the radio playing on the PA of the car as we're training. So we're working, doing our shit. Tone alert comes out. what I call an edible offense, something we could put the dog on the ground for, we would fucking break training. And there was a point in time where he had several dogs down, right? It was me and maybe one other dog, two other dogs covering the county as I'm training. Bro, Bosco got so bloody during those years, bro. Like, he got so much work.
I was going to say, because most trainers aren't getting the work.
No, bro. What I would do, like, I'd make my dogs dizzy every night in training. We're doing tracking, detection, obedience, my boogeyman shit, area search, building search, and some control and obedience. Every night we're doing that shit. Wow. And I'm getting that shit done by halfway through so I could go work the fucking road. Like, I had times where I was doing 10, 11 dog schools where that wasn't so feasible, but I grab overtime to get my fix, right? So
I'm proud of you, man. Most trainers, not to say they don't take their job serious, but their dogs don't get any work.
No. And Bosco was so good, bro. I would find people, legit find motherfuckers, and call another dog in.
Yeah, because you had too many bites, probably, or
I had to feed the young.
Yeah,
and they were my guys.
They had the dogs had to get their taste of blood, if you want to call it that. But
well, opportunities, man. Yeah. I'd say on the radio, like, hey, I got a spot I can't get to. Bring this dog in. Bro, I remember one night I was working. This was at Bosco too. I was working overtime at a movie theater, chilling, snacking on fucking popcorn. I hear this shit come out. Right, bro, 2 blocks away from where I was. Old man at an ATM, knife to his throat, fucking rob him. Dude takes off running. Bunch of dog teams get there. They track him to a fucking canal, right? And the helicopter's up with this one. The helicopter is such an amazing tool, bro. They walked us into some gimmies I can't even count, bro. So the helicopter's like, hey, I got a heat source on the other side of the canal. Like, 2 motherfuckers. There's 2 suspects, right? Both swam the canal, but were separated. And it was in a neighborhood. So I'm like, finish my popcorn. I'm like, this sounds good. Break the detail. Fucking drive around the block, bro. Go on the other side of the canal. The fucking helicopter walks me in. Fantastic. I have that bite. I have a lot of bites on helicopter footage that I post. That's one of them. The other motherfucker was right down a canal bank, bro. I had a young dog that needed work.
So you got the first one.
I got the first motherfucker. I could have been a greedy bitch and fucking walked in and got the other one.
Got a twofer.
Because it matters so much to me that I want to elevate the people around me. I need those dogs to be there for their handlers. So it was a buddy of mine, Dan Friend, who went through his first dog who wouldn't bite. Got this brand new dog, had to fucking get blood. He went through so much shit. Like, these other trainers would not wash his first dog. He should have been washed years ago, but Dan we call him Gorilla Dan. He's a fucking ape, bro. Like, he likes to fight. So the dog would find him and Dan would bite him. Like, so, but the dog wouldn't do shit. So this new dog, cool fucking dog, but needed the experience. So I'm like, hey, put Canine 12 in the back of a car. And because he started the first track.
So he's on the wrong side.
Yeah, he went from the ATM to the other side of the canal. Go put Canine 12 in a fucking car, bring him around the block. I can't get to the guy.
Right.
Wink, wink.
Right.
Success. And that dog had a stellar career.
Had to pop his cherry, basically.
Yep. So at the same time, man, we're training, we're hustling, and we're doing our thing. And it's, this is where shit went really south for me, bro. It's crazy, the egos. Daytime, I worked at night. Daytime training, there was night shift versus day shift. There was 2 units within one, right? So a very good friend of mine got a new dog, and he had to go to the day shift academy. Couldn't come to my school. 4 months, he was at this other academy, and he would call me all the time, bro. Like, he's a big fucking hillbilly, hog hunting type of dude, bro. Like, this dog was biting him every fucking day, and they would not let him handle it. They would not, for a couple reasons, bro. It's a long story. And he hated the fucking dog because it was such a bad relationship. The dog was a little fucking asshole. So they called me. I remember it was Chick-fil-A, Okeechobee and the Turnpike. If people know that area, West Palm Beach. The training sergeant calls me into a meeting at Chick-fil-A, sits me down and tells me, hey, this guy's coming back to you at nights. I have to document a manual out, which doesn't exist. Like, I'm just getting this dog in my hands, and I have to say he won't out. He won't do a release, a verbal out. So I'm like, yeah, cool, no problem. I was off the next day. Dude came to my house in 3 sessions. Eject, whack, flying back to heel. They couldn't get him out, couldn't get him to recall. Competition shit. I sent them the video. Hey, we're good. Downhill from there. The egos could not fucking handle that they created a fucking monster. For the first bit of business was dad's off the menu. Do not fucking look cross-eyed at daddy. We handled that. It's all it took, one time. Okay, we're good. And then taught him to let go when we needed him to.
So you fixed over the weekend what they couldn't fix in.
Not 3 days, 3 sessions. Work them, put them up, work them, put them up, bring them out, done.
And I want to track what's going on here.
Yep.
When this training sergeant came to you and said, hey, we need this to be done,
Yep.
the way you said it, I'm interpreting it as, hey, look, we're finally going to wash the dog, but I need to.
No, we're keeping the dog. You're inheriting him into your training program, and you have to say we have to choke him out.
Why?
Because they couldn't do it.
But why did they want you to say that? Like to also, even Justin can't do it.
Dump it on me. No, to say it's my problem. So I just said, just let me confirm that you want me to use verbiage that does not exist in case law or in any training standard in law enforcement. You want me to say a manual removal? He's like, yep, okay, no problem. Fuck that.
Yeah, to what point? And that's where I get lost. Like, why did they want that documentation?
To put, maybe to fuck me or put it on me because they couldn't make it happen. And that was the beginning of the end for me. Because simultaneously I'm putting up big numbers, my team is putting up fucking massive numbers, and I'm fixing fucking problems that they created. And the egos can't fucking handle it.
So what goes on from here?
So we continue this pattern for a while, man. It's a lot of fuck yous. You know, we're all corporals and it's but they're protected, bro. Like it's a long fucking story. So they're protected.
There's a rift between day shift trainers and
me. I was the only nighttime trainer. There was a couple on days with a training sergeant. My sergeant, who was in training, had been in a motorcycle accident, lost a leg.
So you're on your own.
So I had to go to this daytime fucker. Like, it's a long story, bro. It's just, it was very, it was, I always knew I had a target on my back. I always knew they'd get me somehow. And they did. They did. So, long fucking boring story straight, but this would take a whole nother podcast to explain it. They were starving dogs on day shift to make them perform for food-based training. I brought food-based training to the unit. These fuckers skipped class. Like, I'm big on existential training. The dogs' entire calories are consumed through training, and they love it. They're predators. They know that life. It's hunting for food, hunting behavior for food. They love it. So not only were these assholes restricting calories from the dog, but what they were feeding was this Red Barn compressed log. Is basically the nutritional value of fucking cardboard. You could see every spine, every vertebrae, every rib, protruding hip bones in multiple dogs in that school. I'm not having it, bro. My wife, who's a 25-year veteran cop, her father was a veterinarian down in Hollywood, Florida for almost 40 years. She grew up in a vet clinic, animal lover. My car kept fucking breaking down every fucking week. She'd drive me to the office during the day to pick up another fucking car. She saw the fucking dogs looking like crackheads. She lost her mind. She worked narcotics for 10 years, Detective Bureau for many years. She worked animal abuse cases as a veteran law enforcement officer where she would make multiple arrests if she saw those fucking dogs. She lost her fucking mind. I called a meeting with the lieutenant, who was, at the time, I thought a good friend of mine. I said, hey, we have to fix this shit. We have to fix this. And I had someone, it was in the day shift academy, a good friend of mine today. He sent me a video of the dogs doing a training technique. He wanted to see if he was doing things right because he wanted to learn training. I said, bro, the technique's great, but these fucking dogs are emaciated. What the fuck is going on? So I showed Lieutenant the video. And I said, bro, this is bad. Long story short, I said, we got to fix this shit. So whatever the lieutenant did, when he left that room, we were bro hugging. I told him, I said, bro, we have to fix this shit. I said, I know these two motherfuckers are going to try and get me for this shit. It's two main assholes. He hugged me and said, I'll never let it happen, bro. So left that night. I worked overtime the next morning, called into IA, done. So what they did is they had me up for insubordination, saying that I called it. Well, what they did is they called me in as a witness, right? Where you're compelled to speak. You have no right for representation. You have to fucking speak or you're done. So what happened was the path that it took, this is the fastest moving IA I've ever seen or been a part of. I really haven't ever been in trouble in police work. They got the message to the sheriff that I told them if they didn't get kicked out of that fucking unit, that I was taking that video and going to the media with it. And the sheriff hates the fucking media. I was in the sheriff's living room with him and his wife, and my wife on a couch, clicking and feeding his dogs, his pet dogs. Wrote me a check twice. Canine Service Unlimited. Thought I knew him too, right? Like, This took a whole bro. This was all this was a fucking trainers meeting, which we've had 1,000 times, where we'd motherfucker over each other over and over, and the dogs would be fed. The dogs had to be fucking fed. Easy, easy. But they took this shit because they're SWAT boys, they're protected motherfuckers. They ran shit. SWAT runs that agency. This shit went to the sheriff. They told him just what he wanted to fucking hear, and I was done. Cost me $30,000 a year with assignment pay and overtime. And I'm too dumb not to fight it, bro. Like, too dumb. Like, fuck that shit. So to make things even more interesting, that was in April of 2017. New Year's Eve, 2016 going into 2017 was when I was involved with my shooting. The call was a suicide by cop. Dude had left a suicide note. He was at his parents' house in Loxahatchee Groves, which is a 2.5 acre lot line, like a rural environment, very little street lights. It was at night. He left a note how he's going to kill himself. He wants the cops to kill him. She calls 911. He's in the background screaming, "Get here! I'm going to fucking kill you! Get here! End this fast!" Like all the classic buzzwords like he had picked that day. Very sad situation. I was another part of the county. It probably took me half an hour to get there. We parked probably a quarter mile away at least to make the tactical approach. My dog was Zeke, my last dog. Very, very dangerous dog, man. He came into this country at 8 weeks old by my good friend Bobby and his wife Nitu. I started helping him train at 8 weeks old, doing the puppy work and rag play and some food obedience stuff. He started teething, so we gave him a break. They got very busy with their side businesses, and I bought Zeke when he was about 7 months old. And I was actually going to use him for sports shit, but I loved his nose, loved his aggression. At about that 6-7 month old period, he had my kids in his crosshairs. Like he wanted to fuck my kids up. My kids probably don't know his name. They never touched him, never met him. Like I could see he was a throwback.
He's a killer.
He was actually my wife's dog. You know, straight killer, bro. Like straight fucking killer.
And what breed?
German Shepherd. Pedigree German Shepherd. Top blood shit. You know, I don't follow a whole lot of bloodlines, but he goes back to a mink Croc bloodline. It's known to produce high levels of aggression. Croc von Erlenbusch is a dog's name, Beast. It works several dogs from that
the
blood.
dog's name.
Yeah. And he looks like his eyes were about this far. He looked like a crocodile, bro. It was Beast.
Big head.
Beast, fucking massive biter. He was actually my wife's dog, bro. I rented him to go to work. Like he fucking legit would melt when he saw my wife.
That thing where I think there's something that women have, especially with a strong,
it was her dog,
alpha male dog.
Yes. And when I was going to work with Bosco, like he was with her and she was handling him and doing some feeding and shit. So, but he picked her. Like I was the rental, bro. I was an Uber. I just picked him up and went to work with him. So he matured and he evolved, and I'll backtrack and tell you about his first bite, which is fucking hilarious. But
And you got along well with him? There was never a
oh
clash?
no, bro, no. Very. He bit me a couple times on the street. I got in his way. It was one time he redirected on a felony stop, and I fucking clubbed him, and it was over. But he was very, very fair with me, like very fair. Like,
But you also probably knew how to.
yeah, I knew how to handle him. Yeah, and I had him when he was young, bro. Like so. And yeah, he was a.
But isn't that funny, right? For the folks listening,
Yeah.
super veteran canine handler at this point.
Yeah,
And
had some
even you
experience.
had a dog that. Oh, what do you mean? Your own dog bit you? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What the? Yeah.
Yes.
When you have a dog like that, get the fuck out of my way.
Yeah, he bit me 3 times. Once was intentional, redirect on a traffic stop or a felony stop where he couldn't do what he wanted to do. The other one was fighting with a guy. We tracked this burglar who's just hitting houses. I got him in a little tiny shed, and the dog's climbing the opposite wall. And I penetrate the shed, and I see the guy right in button hooked in the corner. The dog's climbing the chimney effect. The odor's rolling up the same side of the wall that the bad guy's on, hitting the ceiling and rolling down the blank wall. So I'm fighting with this motherfucker, and then Zeke turns around and sees me, and it's dark as shit. He just grabs whatever he can. Fucking nuked me, bro. Good. Got me. But he spit me out pretty quick.
Good.
The other time was a vehicle extraction that I post all the time. That armed robbery dude, shitty tactics. He's sitting in a car. I rip open the passenger door, tell him to get out. He slams the door in my face. Zeke is going fucking ballistic. I reach across to get the door again. Zeke fucking whack. He spits me out, and then I help the guy get out of the fucking car with the dog. So anyway, man, Zeke evolved, and he was cool. But on the shooting,
Big dog too.
He's about 95 pounds. He's a fat fuck like me right now. He's probably pushing 100. He's about 11 years old now.
Right now.
Yeah.
He's still around.
Still around. Yeah.
Okay, but now maybe take us back. So you got Zeke. He's in his prime.
And I almost watched him, bro, at about 11 months. So I always had a Tahoe, but I had a rear loading cage, right?
Okay.
So what I would do, it was weird, right? So I couldn't bail the dog out.
Yeah.
But what I did do is I was able to give me the luxury to have, I could stack crates in there. So I always had a young puppy with me working the road, and I had Zeke and Bosco. So I actually ran 2 dual dogs at one time for maybe a couple months. Because what happens is, man, in a patrol dog school, it's 100% success rate. The dog comes out of the car, puts his nose down, puts his teeth on shit, it's a win. School's over, you hit the real world, it's the polar opposite, bro. And the dogs get fucking frustrated. If I had a really fucking call where I know, like, delayed burglary, I know the fucking guy's gone, I don't want to use Zeke for that shit. Let Bosco handle that shit. So I ran 2 dogs for a while until I'll tell you about Zeke's first bite later. It's fucking funny until I probably should have used Bosco for it because it's a little bit stressful, but yeah, man, I almost washed him at 11 months old. I brought him into a training scenario. We were doing police dog shit, and he wouldn't bite on stairs. So I'm
freaked out by
yeah,
stairs.
bro. I'm like, I can't have this shit. But bro, he's a monster, and his nose was insane, bro. His nose. Whew. So I'm like, fuck this, bro. We're gonna try and get over this. So I had a friend of mine, good in construction. He built me a catwalk in my backyard. Spooky set of ladder stairs, 2x6 plank, probably 10 feet long, about chest high off the ground. And on the back side of it was another set of spooky stairs. And Zeke, I could feed him a 10-pound fucking turkey and then go do food-based obedience, bro. He's a killer for food. Well, guess where he was gonna eat?
The ladder.
On the plank.
Yeah.
Right? So what I used is dominant slip lead. You know, I walked up to the stairs, face forward, shoulders squared to the plank. He's behind me trying to like fish out of water that shit.
And he's that spooked to the stairs.
Doesn't want to go up, bro.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you're going up today. He ran up, ate. Took him about 3 times, 3 meals, and he's flying. And you know, we were very quick to wash dogs from environmental shit, but he was mine, and I knew how to get through it if we could. He got to the point, man, where I had to clear a Jiffy Lube, bullshit alarm, burglar, fire alarm, sprinklers going off. You know where they go underneath to change the oil from the bottom? Bro, it's a spooky ass motherfucking dungeon, bro. Like escape stairs, like, you know, boom, up and down, no problem. So we got through it.
You turned something he hated into something he
Yeah, and that doesn't always happen. It probably rarely happens to get over that shit, but... So, man, he was a cool dog, bro. Like, so we're at the shooting, right? So make our approach, and I couldn't put him in the stick, bro. Like, the techniques that we're using now with the bark fence and the handler neutrality stuff and the active aggression and the capping, like, I didn't have access to, like, I knew the theories. I applied it in different ways, but I didn't have, I didn't apply those things with this dog, and he was a dangerous motherfucker. I bit one cop with him, too. It was bad. Unavoidable situation. Mm-hmm. It's a boring story, but...
Accidental.
I can control him very well. This is a situation where it was bad timing. So I could, on the approach to this guy, right?
This is the first bite?
No, this is the shooting.
Okay.
So we're making our tactile approach to the crime scene, pitch fucking dark, suburban, rural environment. Just bushes and fucking trees and swampy shit. And so there is one street light that's giving off some ambient light into the driveway, right? So we make the approach to the house. We kind of stack up on that pole. The dude's sitting in a lawn chair just like you, legs crossed, but his arms are bracing his waist like this. The mother's on the phone saying he's got the knife. You can't see it. So he's having classic blocking body language, saying he's trying to conceal it, right? So the problem with K9 in Palm Beach County is that you patrol, I should say, the entire county. And every county's got its own district, which each district is like its own department. So you have no idea who you're running into. You have no idea the tactics, the skill set, the mindset.
As far as your backup
officers. You have no fucking clue, bro. And I get to this crime, and we get habituated on showing up and taking control. Some sergeants get their fucking feathers ruffled from that shit, but all we do in K9 is go from call to in-progress felony to violent crime to felony to this high-speed shit nonstop. I can't do a fucking crash scene. I can't write a crash report, but I know how to fucking catch a bad guy, right? So I'm looking at these faces in the stick, bro, and I'm like, I don't know, these motherfuckers are all young motherfuckers. Like, because remember I was telling you, we had a massive hiring spree, bro. Like, the agency grew exponentially over the years that I was there, and so many young fucking faces. And they're hiring accountants, they're hiring people with business degrees, they're hiring people that never been punched in the fucking face in their life. Like different game, bro.
And you've got to pick someone to have your back.
Well, we had a stick, so we had the shield, we had less lethal, we had lethal, we had long guns, we had every fucking bazooka and toy you can think of to fucking handle this shit. And the kid holding the fucking shield, I could see, like, so I couldn't be in the stick because of the dog.
And you're losing me there. What's the stick?
Stick is so when you have, it's like you have
Like a stack?
Stack, sorry. Yeah, we call it stack. Same shit. So you have the shield and everybody's behind each other. Everybody's behind the shield. I think we had 5 people in that
So you'd have
stack.
the shield guy and then you'd be like the number 2 guy?
But I had to be off to the side.
Because he's a dickhead dog.
He's a douchebag. So I had him on my left and I was on the left of the stick, but it worked out because I did have shield cover.
I understand. Yeah.
So I knew that we had the guy's name. So I'm the point of contact. I have the dog. I'm the point of contact. I'm talking to him by name. Ricky, I believe is his name. It's been many years. So I'm saying, Ricky, bro, we need to help you, but we got to make sure that you don't have the knife. He's mumbling some shit, bro. So the conversation's very short. He gets up and he walks away on a 45-degree angle, right? So he's walking into the darkness. He steps over a hedge into the neighbor's yard. Now, our protocol has been, and this is a national protocol, is that if the suicide people are not actively trying to kill themselves or other people, we let them be until they're approachable or containable. We've had calls, bro, where dudes are shooting up their fucking houses. We get the family out. We go 10-8, which means back in service. Leave them alone. A month before this call, in another district, in a 0 lot line neighborhood, I had to do with 2 samurai fucking swords, right? We had 2 dogs, shields, every tool you can think of, many units there. Get the family out of the house, and the dude's walking towards us with 2 fucking samurai swords saying the same shit. Kill me, motherfuckers, I'm gonna kill you. Like, there's a basketball hoop in the driveway, he's smashing it with a fucking sword. They make us get in our cars and leave. Leave. Bro, my head exploded. Like, we're gonna leave this guy in a 0 lot line, big neighborhood with 2 fucking swords in the middle of the night and do nothing? Bro, oof. So here we are. And that's been the protocol, bro. Like, hands off. It's a different fucking mindset now. The SWAT team does not go in fucking houses. Hands off.
I know.
Surround and call out. So anyway, here's this dude walking away. I go, here we fucking go. This is going to go on forever, right? So he goes that way. The stack follows him. I break off to cover the front door of the house so he can't get back in.
Yeah.
So if he gets back in the house, hostages, barricaded, such a whole fucking other shit show. So I'm just as I get to the front door, the sergeant gives the order to hit him with a 40 millimeter less lethal, which for folks that don't know, it's like a projectile that's the equivalent of a 130 mile an hour fastball. It's incapacitating for most of the population. Hits this dude square in the back. I can hear it like today. Hits him in the back. He goes to the ground. And as the projectile goes off, I go, fuck, we own this dude now. So I break from the house. Zeke can kind of see this shit and hear it going on. He's dragging me towards that little hedge that the guy stepped over. It's probably like thigh high. And he's a fucking 95 pounds. And bro, when I talk about tactics, I'm a shit show. But another curse that I have is being ambidextrous. A really fucking bad habit. I'm left-handed, shooter. I had a really bad habit of holding a leash in my left and my flashlight in my right. Fucking bad habit. So I'm making my approach. Zeke's fucking dragging me like a bull. He sees this fucking shit. The guy goes down. As I get to the hedge line, he's charging directly at me. The stick is way off to the right, right? For whatever reason, he fucking picked me. This dude looked like he was 8 feet tall and 300 fucking pounds, bro, but moving like an Olympian, all right? I'm very big on visualization training. Like, I'm horrible with a gun, bro. My old man was a Wall Street type of suit cat, bro. I never shot a gun until I got in the academy. Because I right-handed, they handed me right-handed shit. I couldn't hit anything, bro. I found out I was left-eye dominant. They handed me some left-handed shit, and it got a little bit better. Like, going to the range was fucking boring, bro. Like, I know my weaknesses and strength. Like, I'm not a gun person. Like, in certifications, I'd fucking miss paper, bro, because I was so bored. Like, I'm like, whatever the fuck, right? I have to put up new paper and try again. But a high school baseball coach, I remember I used to play pro baseball. I was obsessed with that shit. Kids were out partying. I was training in my garage. A high school baseball coach taught me about visualization. where you can rehearse ranges of motion, scenarios, and things in your mind without actually physically going through the activity, like sitting in a chair. I do a lot of driving. I do a tremendous amount of visualization. Back then, it was fastballs coming in at 95 mile an hour, and it's got a little bit of a cut. I see the changeup. I see how I have to adjust my swing as the ball's coming in to make contact with it, like shit like that. Like visualize all those scenarios. That same wackiness I applied into law enforcement. So as I'm patrolling, looking for these motherfuckers, I'm constantly thinking, I'm going to pull this car over. He's going to pop out passenger side with an AK. What do I do? He bails. Multiple occupants. What do I do? I would see this shit in my mind. I saw this shooting in my mind 1,000 times before it happened. And we talk about manifestation. We talk about putting things to the universe. No matter how you feel about shit, I'm a firm believer in that. And maybe I brought this into my world, bro, because it went into an out-of-body experience. I'm not bullshitting you. I'm not trying to give you hippie bullshit. It happened. So this dude's charging me. And remember, I've missed paper, bro. So my leash is in my left. Zeke is fucking a monster. He's coming at me. I drop my flashlight, transition from leash from left to right, thigh holster.
He's got a knife in his hand?
Yeah, yes. So now when he's running, now I see it. He's right-handed and the blade's coming down in like a downward stab. So he's running like this with a blade.
Kitchen knife.
14-inch fucking hunting knife. So now it's on, right? And it's ambient light. It's shitty light, bro. Like some of the deputies' lights, I can see the blade shimmering as he's running. He's screaming like a possessed fucking animal, bro. Like this like guttural fucking scream, right? So I drop the flashlight, transition leash from right to left, on holster, and fucking spray and pray. Bop, 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 bro. Right over the fucking dog's head. As he wasn't capped, bro. He was leaking like a motherfucker, barking and bouncing. We carried 40 caliber down there, Glocks. 8 rounds right over that fucking dog's head between his ears. Bop, bop, spraying and praying, bro. Like I did whatever I could do. Later, I found out I hit him 4 out of 8 times. Right. So
how close did he get to you?
Well, what happens is he actually tripped a couple times on his way to me. And as
a result of getting shot, you think, or
no, I knew that I was the only one shooting him because after the fact, everybody caught a lot of shit for not acting. Right. Scared to death. So what happens is dudes charge me, I spray and pray, bro. He goes to the ground. So what happened, he hit 3 times in the chest, and the last round spun him, like would be counterclockwise. So now the knife is coming closer towards me, and the last round hit him like in the love handle. So then he falls to the ground, and the knife, I can see that his hand's empty. So now he's on one side of the hedge, maybe 2 feet in front of the hedge, and I'm on the other side of the hedge. The dog and me are up against the hedge, so as close from me to you.
Feet, 3,
4,
feet,
5 feet maybe. I don't even.
So he falls, all but right in front of you.
All right in front of me, and I can see that now his hand is empty. I don't know where the knife went. He's still flopping around, bro. He's still ambulatory. There's movement. I holster. I say, "Let me see your hands." Give a couple of announcements. Non-compliance. I send the dog. Dog jumps over the hedge, and he's wearing like this, like a nylon kind of windbreaker. The dog goes over the hedge, and his feet kind of slide, and he makes contact with the shoulder, which would be the guy's right shoulder, and then he slides across the nylon and fucking grabs him in the face. 1 canine and 1 molar, like top canines in the molar. I'm sorry, in the temple, across his face, bro, dead mugged. And the reason I sent the dog is I would never send a dog on somebody with a knife. It's a suicide mission. But I knew his hand was empty, and I thought he was still. Had no idea if I hit him with any of the rounds. Remember the jury and I got sued and the fam, like all the evidence. Like you have years to review that. We're talking about milliseconds. Yeah. So my intention was to staple the dog on him and drag him the fuck away from the knife. I thought the knife may have fell, I knew the knife was probably, because of his energy, his inertia, his movement, that the knife had probably gone like towards the house, like to my left. So I was going to stick the dog on him and fucking rip him through the bushes and get him away from where I thought the knife was. As the dog sticks him in the face, and we're talking about a fucking Like Zeke broke bones on people several times in the street, bro.
This is a serious
savage motherfucker. He sticks him in the fucking face, and still, I remember this is happened split second. He slides off the shoulder, hits the face. I still set the hook, like I'm gonna drag the motherfucker. And as he makes contact with the face, and I set the hook, and I make some tension, I can see him go lifeless. Poof. The dude died right there. So I go up, get the dog off, and I get the dog off, and because the deputies are all to my right, I go across the guy, get the dog off, and now I'm back towards like the neighbor's house. So the bad guy's house is here, neighbor's house there, bad guy and deputies, right? Pull the dog out, and I see the fucking knife exactly where I thought it was, right? So they come in, protocol, handcuff him, I direct him into the knife. I turn around because we parked back towards the street where the house was, the mother's house. The mother's in a wheelchair on the front door, bro, watching everything. She had to witness her son like die right there, bro. It's heavy shit, man. I felt horrible. Like I was such in a flux, bro. It took, like if I said we parked a quarter mile away, it took me about an eighth of a mile. Like I got the dog off and started walking back to my car. I saw her, I get through the driveway onto the street. I'm like literally taking inventory with my body saying, what the fuck just happened? Like, bro, God put me on autopilot. It was an out-of-body experience, bro. Like, remember,
you're like almost now coming back into it.
Now it's like, I'm starting to process shit. And this is where the dog geek comes out, bro. Like, I almost get like it's tragic, bro. It's tragic that this dude chose to lose his life. He was a paranoid schizophrenic off his medication, had young kids. It's the mental health. It's tragic, bro. And he chose that day, and that was out of my control. I'm going home to my wife. I'm going home to my kids, bro. Like I'm protecting the people in that community. Like I never ever blinked once about my actions. It's the cleanest shoot you can think of, bro. That's textbook. But as I'm walking back to my car, processing the shit, the overwhelming feeling of being so proud of that animal, like performing the way he did. Because again, forget the call, forget the tragedy of loss of human life. Now we're talking dog geek and dog training. Like for that dog to take those fucking rounds right over his fucking head, not blink, and then fucking handle business like that, bro. And again, I've had an influence on his life since he was 8 weeks old. I'm like, bro, like so proud of that fucking dog.
You wonder too, I hadn't thought of it, but like, you wonder what he's thinking right at that moment. They can feel the intensity of the moment.
He probably wanted to go back and get seconds.
Probably. But they're not stupid.
Yeah.
Whether he noticed something in the guy's hand, whether he knew what it was or not. But it's definitely a different picture than a lot of what we see on the street. Yeah. The guy running away or hiding in the bushes, he for sure saw the guy coming.
When I tell you about the first bite, like, it was pretty stupid, bro. He had 13 when I got kicked out of Canine. He had 13 bites.
And if we can say one thing real quick, just to clear the air on this, anyone that said, well, why did the dog choose to bite him in the face? Is he just mean?
It was the timing, the sequence, the movement, like him hitting the hedge, like his intent. Like I would have stapled him on the shoulder, but his feet slipped. Remember, there's dew on the ground at that time of night in that part of the country.
Yeah, I'll just make it simple. They bite what they can get.
It's a full contact sport, bro.
Yeah, whatever they can get.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen guys bit literally everywhere.
Yeah.
In the ass, in the junk, on the toe, on the hand, in the face. I had a face bite.
Yep. It's dangerous though, bro, because we talked about the fear scent, and that's what the dogs really learn to track. They become junkies for that. When a dog bites a human being in the face, there's a whole new level of that secretion of fear scent, bro. And the dogs start hunting faces.
Really?
Bosco had face bites, and Zeke, I had to be very, very careful, bro, because now they go looking for it.
He was already a killer, and now
he's a sinister motherfucker, bro.
He's just a serial killer.
Bosco was an opportunist. He was very calculated.
I've never heard that, but it does make sense.
Bro, it's a whole new level of shit, crazy, bro. Whole new level. Like appendages, like limbs and shit. Like, yeah, there's some heavy juju going on, bro. At the face. Whew. Yeah, Bosco got a shooting suspect in the fucking face. I tracked him and found him. He was behind, it was dark as shit. Goes in behind an AC handler. I felt him make contact. I heard the screaming. I fucking set the hook, dragged him probably 20 feet out until I could see him by his fucking face, bro. Yeah. It looked like a shark attack, bro.
And if we could also say, too, when the dogs are in that drive or they're hunting, they almost have their eyes off.
Oh, yeah.
They're just using their nose, tracking the odor straight to source. And if the first thing they come in contact with is a foot or a face, they're not taking the time to say like, "Whoa, where's your arm?" They're just biting.
No, they're grabbing
Especially
whatever
if the guy's hiding under thick in the bushes where they can't see him, or hiding under a tarp or a bed sheet. They're just biting they're going to bite whatever they can, whatever has odor.
In pitch dark.
Yeah, and we've done. I find it so interesting too, where we'll run those tracks, training, and have the decoy just even standing, sitting, whatever, behind a chain link fence, and the dogs cannot see the guy because they're not looking for them. They're you can see them searching with their nose. They've indicated on odor, and then you see them pause for a second and almost like open their eyes, like, "Oh, there's the guy."
Yeah.
You know, especially if the guy's not moving, they just don't key in on it. So it's just, I'm just saying this for the folks who maybe don't understand. Like, they're going to bite whatever they can because they're almost not using their eyes; they're using their nose.
Bro, I've been standing on top of motherfuckers, and the elements aren't in our favor, and the dog's not able to grab them. Like,
Right.
I have a helicopter video. I'm standing on this motherfucker, you know.
Because
so
the wind or the odor is not being pushed to the dog's
not there.
nose.
Right.
Dog's not literally seeing with his nose what's in front of him. Yeah.
And some of these tracking gurus talk about proximity alert. It's always there. Bull fucking shit. It's not always
not
there.
when the wind's at your back,
Fuck
baby. No.
So, you know, again, man, like the tragic, it's, you know, it's, I feel for that mother, bro. Like, I really feel for her. And it's,
Well, a couple things, man. I don't want to gloss over it too much, but did she say anything? Do you remember?
not until she sued me. And, you know, it was a wild ride. So that was New Year's 2016 into 17. Then in April, I got booted at a canine. So these lawsuits are going simultaneously. I decided to file a whistleblower lawsuit against the agency, which made me a marked man. I had to retire. Like, it's a mafia down there, bro. Like, I could tell you a million fucking stories. It is straight up mafia. Like, if the name Jeffrey Epstein rings a bell to you, most people, they've heard that name. That was my agency. It treated the most prolific child rapist like a rock star.
And to be clear, we're not talking hypothetical. We're talking about you're in Palm Beach County, where Jeffrey Epstein lived.
Yeah.
And there was connections between Epstein and...
Well, they allowed him to go to his office. It's state statute. Kid touchers cannot have work release. They allowed him to go to his office and do who knows what. So, long story short, bro, it was a mafia, bro. So I had to leave to fight them fairly. If you're there and you're fighting the man, you're fucking doomed, bro. Doomed. There was a dude, it's, I forget the name of the podcast, but legit, he's a geek. I'm not going to even say his name, but he should have been like owning Google, not being a cop. Long story short, he does some digging, finds some real dirty shit on the upper brass, and they somehow get the FBI to hit his house. He knew about it. Changed his name, got a fake passport, and now he lives in Russia to duck these motherfuckers. Yeah. I can't remember the name of the podcast, man. It's a documentary, actually. I'll dig it up and send it to you. But they play dirty, bro. I've seen it my whole career. Like, and you don't, until it happens to you, you're like, maybe these guys fucked up. Bro, mafia. Straight mafia. So I knew I had to leave the fight fair, bro. So ended up, you know, not forced me, it was a gift. It was a blessing to go to Tennessee. But simultaneously, for the next 2 years, I'm dealing with a civil lawsuit of the shooting, dealing with my whistleblower lawsuit, right? And it's, but once I retired, and I retired in good standing, never been in trouble, bro. Kept my badge, they gave me a fucking gun, so I retired in good standing, and, but I had my First Amendment rights back. Now I can fucking talk freely, right? So, you know, again, I've always trained pets, always had 4 or 5 dogs in for board and train, never had to advertise or market. You know, cops have big mouths. They like what you do, it spreads like fucking wildfire, bro. So I had dogs all the time. Moving into Knoxville, didn't know shit. So I had to start getting on social media, right? So I had to learn all those algorithms and learn how to edit and put fucking shitty videos out.
You're starting from scratch.
Starting from scratch, bro.
You're no longer a police officer. You don't have that income, I'm assuming.
Nope.
And so you make big leap of faith.
But I had a sugar mama, bro. Like my wife did.
She had just retired?
She did. Yeah. No, she retired several years before me.
Okay.
And she wanted to get the fuck out of South Florida.
So you set your sights on Knoxville.
Yep.
The mountains, the change of scenery, out of South Florida.
She had actually bought a Frenchie up there before we met. She went up in the fall and said, "This is where I am retiring." And she made it happen, man. So it was, again, God's plan and all this shit. We developed an exit strategy. I had to stay about another year to develop this plan. You know, lawsuits take a minimum of 2 years. So I laid low. They put me actually, because what happened was when they booted me out of Canine, right? And during the shooting, they fucked that call up by ordering him to be shot with a less lethal because they went outside
They forced it.
They forced it.
Yeah, they forced
Bro,
the issue.
forced the entire issue.
Yeah.
And they realized that. So they booted me out of Canine lightning fast. And this is what they did, bro. They fucking made me put my dog in the fucking kennel.
Their kennel.
Their kennel. They'd let me come, while I was on admin leave, they'd let me come once a day to break him. I'd go to it, because I can't touch him.
That's what I'm going to say. No one can take
Can't
this
get their
dog
fucking
out.
hands on him, bro. And that's what made me get him.
And they wouldn't let you keep him.
He's my fucking dog too, bro.
Yeah, but they had the contract that they owned him for $1.
Dollar, right. But my wife wrote it was my wife's dog that she donated to the agency with the stipulation that I handle him, and should I be removed from the unit for any reason, we retain him.
Okay.
But I was still on admin leave where I hadn't been booted. I
They're
knew it
just
was
playing
coming.
games with you.
They're fucking with me. I'd go in, his kennel would be covered in shit. He had urine in his fucking water bucket, like scumbag motherfuckers taking pictures. And I told the lieutenant, I said, do whatever the fuck you want to me.
It's not fair.
Do not take it out on my fucking dog. And because they couldn't get their hands on him, like the next day, I went and got him. Like I had to go unarmed into the fucking kennel where I trained and fucking worked to get my own fucking dog. That's what they want. They want to bury you and make you a little fucking bitch. So you submit. And most cops make a lot of fucking money down there. And what makes people take that shit is they don't have a backup plan. They don't have an exit strategy when it comes, not if, when it comes. And the insurance. They got you by the balls because of the insurance.
That health insurance.
Well, my wife, she had a very good career, made a lot of fucking money. And what sealed the deal for us is that she put me on her. She was one of the last few employees of the Hollywood Police Department to get benefits for life on retirement. She added me to her insurance for $60 a month. And I always knew that I can make a living training dogs, but I loved hunting these motherfuckers. And when they stole that shit from me, I made the full transition, man. So, but what happened with social media is during my lawsuit was an election year. Epstein popped up. So I leveraged the fuck out of that to continue blasting them on social media about Epstein, my case, during election year.
What year is this? 2016? What are we talking?
2018. I left in 2018. So it was probably 2020 was the election year. It took 2 years for my lawsuit to come to fruition. So when I got deposed on my shooting, bro, I had such verbal diarrhea. Stuart Kaplan was the family's attorney. He's a very high-powered attorney in South Florida. He actually represents cops, too, but the agency is scared to death of him, bro. He's a fucking savage. I love this dude. We became friends. He quickly saw my angle. Like, when they forced the fucking shooting. Like, you're going to fuck me? I'm going to fuck you back. I'm going to tell the truth. I'm going to explain exactly what through my eyes what happened and expose the fucking shitty handling of a scene that you caused that shooting. And when Stuart saw that flow, bro, magic. Magic. My attorney was hired by the sheriff's office, a guy named Scott Richardson, has gotten a lot of cops out of trouble for shootings, or good shootings, bad shootings, whatever. He's the agency's go-to guy for shootings. Palm Beach County hired him to represent me in the shooting simultaneously while I have a whistleblower case going. Bro, huge conflict of interest. Massive conflict of interest. Scott Richardson, my shooting attorney, sends me an email from the sheriff's attorney saying if Rigney doesn't back off on the whistleblower case, we're going to fucking hang him on the shooting.
Wow.
In writing. I say, Scott, to the T, that is extortion. Let's go forward with charges. And that fucking spineless bitch wouldn't, because he's made so much money with the sheriff's office. We go into some hearing, right? And Richardson's sitting there like a little fucking beta male, bro. Like a bitch, won't even look at me. He's my fucking attorney. Stuart Kaplan, being the man that he is, did so much more for me in that fucking hearing to buy me time to get a new attorney because of that fucking rat. Him and I became friends today, bro. Like he went above and beyond the scope of what he had to do because he knew I was getting fucked. They're trying to extort me on all this shit. So what happened, bro? The night the trial was on a Monday. Friday night, and then they hired two new attorneys out of Broward that had never worked with PBSO. Long story short, the Friday night before the trial was going to start on the Monday, these attorneys go, bro, you're off the hook for both. They paid out the family and they're paying you out. So
Wow.
over, bro.
You couldn't write this. You couldn't make this up.
Nope. It's sad, bro, because it could be the most amazing agency, bro. And during my whole dog bullshit, like the skinny dog bullshit, I knew somebody that knew the sheriff's daughter. And they told her what was happening. The sheriff's daughter went to him and said, do you know what's really happening here? Didn't want to hear it, bro. Like, I tried to get message to him on the back, like through the back door somehow. Like, if he just knew the fucking truth, bro, that we're just trying to get these dogs fed. But it was a gift, bro, because I do not miss that fucking job whatsoever, bro. Like, my body's been 30 years in the fucking suit. A lot of bad fucking car wrecks on duty, man. It's bad shit. There was one where they had my same dog, Zeke, bro. I got fucking smashed. And they had to wake up my wife to come get him out of the car. Right? In the middle of the night.
You're wrecked. You're messed up.
I could move a little bit, bro, but I was fucked up and she needed to take him. She needed to take him home so I can go to the hospital.
Yeah, but nobody could get him out.
Yeah, he's that kind of fucking dog, bro. So it was all a blessing. It was 2 years of misery, bro. It was a very difficult situation, man. And there's still a lot of people. Agency as a whole's changed a lot, man. There's still some people I care deeply about. They're changed in a new direction. The sheriff went in while my shit was going on and gave the entire unit a gag order to not talk to me. Right? Guys that I had bled with, bro. Like, this is where you really learn who your friends are. I had a couple close people call me from their kids' phones.
Jeez.
That's how scared they are of the mafia, saying, bro, we love you, but we got to go. And I would never put them in a situation to put them in under the microscope to connect with me, bro. It just got really ugly, man, you know? So, you know, like I said, bro, it was an experience that I wouldn't change.
If we can say, just to clear the air here, too, I don't know if it's important or not, but you keep referring to the sheriff. It's not the current sheriff there.
It is, yeah.
Current sheriff.
It is the current sheriff, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And if you only knew the truth, bro. And he's a dog lover. Like, they're a massive, like, the Big Dog Ranch down there.
Yeah.
It's one of the largest, probably the largest rescues in the world. They're massive supporters of dog. They're dog lovers. Like, it made no sense to my wife and I how we can be on their couch, training their little pet dogs with a clicker and a tree pouch, vibing. Like, things are cool. And then completely close the door. Because these motherfuckers knew exactly what to tell them, bro, to get me booted. Because they had that target on my back. They were looking for a way to fucking get me out because their egos couldn't handle the things I was doing on the road and the dogs that I was producing as a trainer, right? Sad story, bro, but when people know my shit, like, I always thought that I'd be fucking blackballed in the canine industry. There's only a few motherfuckers in that unit that believe that bullshit story. I want to believe it because it fulfills their needs being connected to those people. But, bro, it did the opposite. It did the fucking opposite. And I've had a lot of people in similar situations of animal neglect and abuse and law enforcement and other divisions and other walks of life message me. And I tell them, I said, you can't not deal with it, but just know that people forget and nobody really fucking cares. So what they did is once they fucking booted me and all that shit happened, I said, okay. And my wife did it. She says, I'm going to the fucking media now. So now the news interviewed her, and now the whole fucking case went fucking viral, right? There's this massive fucking, wow, what the fuck, pieces of shit, like seeing all those vertebrae on Facebook and all those fucking ribs and hip bones. And then the memories actually popped up, I think today or yesterday, because I posted the fuck out of that. And people shared it. It went viral. But and nobody gives a fuck. You would think that PETA would get involved, USPCA, nobody gives a fuck. Right, in the long run. So you're a double-edged sword, man. Like, I can't not stand up for what I think is right. When you stand up, you stand alone many times, bro. And I've experienced it many times in my life, and this is a true one. A couple friends, man, that didn't fucking turn their backs on me. Some people had to. And again, the kid that filmed the dogs and was showing me the training, and I shit myself. They kicked him out of the unit because he filmed it. Because he's a rising star. I trained him, and the kid was tenacious, brilliant, an amazing fucking handler. They're like, yeah, he's an up-and-coming competition. Let's get him out while we can. Mm-hmm. Sick, bro. Sick. Him and I couldn't talk for a while. We're now very close again. And it's come full circle, bro. I would not, as fucked up as it is, I'm talking about from birth to the day sitting in front of you, I wouldn't change shit, man. It's God's plan. Who am I to change that shit? But I'm so grateful for the adversities, bro. The adversities, the difficult situations I've been through, I would not fucking change anything at all.
It's amazing. So I think this is a great time to pause. And when we come back, we'll talk about how everything in your life up to this point, how you're able to take that and give back, and what you're doing now to further all the lives that you're touching now. If you didn't know, we have a premium membership available at DIYK9.com. One of the perks of being a premium member is you get first and early access to podcasts and other YouTube videos such as this one. So if you want to find out more, check us out, DIYK9.com. We'll see you there. All right, folks, now we're back, and I think I'd like to segue into how all of this has culminated into what you're doing now and how you're able to give back with your experience. Because there's something to be said about, I don't care how far you've gone in the sport world, and I have a ton of respect for the guys that are and the gals crushing it in the sport world. They've brought and taught so much to us that we can employ on the street as police canine handlers. But there's something very special about guys with your background and experience in the sport world, but being able to employ it in the highest of high stakes. And how that creates some fucking secret sauce, man, that just cannot be duplicated. And you know, maybe it's my pride or what, but I've said it before. It's all great, but have you ever bit someone on the street? Have you ever tracked a fucking murder suspect? When it really counts. I don't give a fuck about a trophy. No, there's no fucking trophy when you save the day. And so anyways, you know, if no one's ever said it, man, I'm proud of you. And I think what you've done is incredible. More importantly, because you're now able to share that. And with the young up and coming canine officers, those who aspire to be canine officers, to keep them safe by training their dogs to be the best that they can be, and or keeping them out of trouble so their dog fucking outs the first time. But before we get into that, I know there's a special story you want to share with us about Zeke's first bite. And you know me, man, I'll sit back and listen to bite stories all day. It never gets old.
You know what you're just saying, though, I just had this epiphany, bro. I would never have been able to pay it forward, the things that are on my heart, that God's put in my heart, if this shit never happened to me. And you kind of just nailed it right there. And I've always felt it, but the fact that I do get to train coast to coast, and it's not my information, bro. It's God's. It's what He's put on my heart to be His beacon. And I'm very big on meditation and manifestation. And part of that, I ask Him for the ability to be able to connect His people with His creatures and do better. As hippie as it sounds, bro, I feel that calling to do that. And if I never went through that adversity, I would never have done it to that degree. I really didn't hit the ground running teaching until I got booted and left, man. So.
Because you had to pour all that energy that you poured into training and finding bad guys and being the best cop you could be. Like you had no more outlet, so you had to put it somewhere. And
it really just evolved, man. And social media is a big part of it. And if you see, I put out everything I got for free, right? And I get some shit from other trainers, and there's always like side shit, like, bro, why are you giving that shit away? Because it's not mine, right? It's not mine to take or give. I just feel so compelled to pay it forward because guys like Chris Byrne, who just gave me everything from day one. They gave it to me not knowing me. They just paid it forward. He's a godly man who just paid it forward easily. And I'm not doing it out of obligation. I feel this deep compelling to do it that way. So it's a big part of it for me, man. And that never would have happened. And I'm very grateful for these opportunities to teach. And it trust me, man, like talking, I'm actually a mute in my private life, bro. Like I don't talk much. Like, I was scared to talk as a kid, bro. Like I just don't. I'm not a very big communicator. I actually had to sell insurance at one point in my life and give group presentations to hundreds of employees, and I had to come out of my shell for that. Like when I know about a topic, I'm comfortable teaching, but it's not me by nature. So it gets kind of fatiguing when you're running your trap all day teaching. But it brings me back full circle, which you mentioned sport, private, and police. Like I can talk out of both sides of my mouth because I was a civilian dog trainer, many years of experience. Brought me into law enforcement, leaving law enforcement not the way I wanted to, but now coming full circle back into the civilian arena training. Like the tremendous wealth and knowledge that's accessible from qualified civilian trainers is amazing, right? And qualified is the operative word. There's a bunch of them out there, and they deserve the credit to be heard, right? So, but then there's a kind of this kind of flux where you got to be keeping the law enforcement hat on and say, right, the private life maybe doesn't let them be able to play with cops and stuff like that. There's a lot of moving parts to it, but if we cut our minds off to the wealth of information that comes from the civilian world, we're stuck. And I do agree with you. And it's not even from a tactics side, because I don't know shit about tactics, but it's from the time that the dog's teeth hit skin, it changes. Like in the adrenaline dumps, the shit that's going on within the handler. I know a guy that I love, the dude. I think he retired after 5 dogs. He was in Canada his entire career. Would lose his fucking marbles on live bites. Live bites. Like, he'd shit himself.
How do you mean?
Like, panic. Like, his brain would go into outer space. Like, motor skills got diminished. Fucking lose communication skills. Like, just would blow up. Just because you've been in a unit for many years and had a lot of experience does not make you knowledgeable, right? So, but yeah, so full circle, man. Like, Zeke's first opportunity, bro. Like, you cannot make this shit up, bro. It's straight comedy. This dude worked at Outback Steakhouse as a cook for many years. I think 10 years, they said. Started coming to work drunk and fucked up, so they fired him. So he knew the system. He knew when there was the most cash available. So he played it right. He took a car from a semi-acquaintance, right? Stole it. Goes through the back door, clubs the manager over the head with like a desktop computer. Lights out, takes all the cash. They see him do it. They know exactly who the fuck he is. So what Homeboy does, he takes the proceeds and the money that he stole from Outback. Then he goes on a blind date, meets a girl there at Ruth Chris Steakhouse, downtown Clematis and West Palm Beach. Like, to paint that picture, it's
not the same night. The same night.
No, like the night. Actually, it may have been the same night, because the car had OnStar. I think it was the same night.
I like this guy,
bro. Genius. So there's TAC teams like on marks in the parking lot, right? And they find information that he valeted the park. Valet parked the car. I'm like, well, what did he give the valet driver? A fucking screwdriver? Like, what the fuck? He had the keys. Anyway, so dude, genius, meets a girl there, 2 separate cars. They meet there. He's in a stolen car. They go inside to Ruth Chris. Fucking balling, bro. Whining and dining, buying the fucking filet mignons, or in there for 2 hours. So the front door of Ruth Chris is sitting right on Okeechobee Boulevard, bro. Mad foot traffic, and it's like a club scene on a Friday night. My ass is stuck in the valet office in like a fucking closet with Zeke. Bro. And bro, it's hot as fuck in that closet, bro. This cat it was the valet dude. He was like, doesn't give a fuck. I'm sweating my ass off, and I'm going, bro, this is probably not a good first opportunity for a dog. I had Bosco parked around the corner. I'm like, I should fucking get Bosco. But I was already in there. My luck, I'd go and the guy would come out. So I'm like,
Zeke's young, I'm picturing. Young at this point.
Yeah, bro. He's probably, shit, man, he's probably 16 months, something like that, maybe, at the time.
The assassin.
18 months. Yeah.
16-month-old assassin.
Assassin evolving. So we're sitting there sweating our ass off, bro. So I hear the call. They say he's coming, because the valet office was probably 50 feet, maybe more, down the sidewalk away from the front door of the business.
So he should be coming right to you, though, right?
Oh, he was. No, so I was in the office, but so what happens is the girl has both tickets, her car and the stolen car's ticket. She goes to the desk of the valet to get the keys. He's facing away from that, facing Okeechobee Boulevard, holding a to-go box of all kinds of shit, probably that he just bought, right? Dessert, fucking filet mignon, lobster, whatever the fuck they serve there. So I come out with the dog between my legs, and he doesn't know what he's looking for, but he wants to eat shit, bro. He wants to eat the valet, motherfucker. Like, there's people standing everywhere waiting for their cars.
And you're coming out of nowhere.
Nowhere,
There's not
bro.
A police car in sight.
No.
I can picture this.
Yes,
now,
bro.
Right? You're just like emerging from nowhere.
Friday night in downtown Clematis is like it's like a mosh pit, right? It's just mad foot traffic and mad things going on. But we're in a bougie area, bro. Like, people are dressed nice. Ruth Chris is a 5-star fucking steakhouse. So I knew the dude's name at the time. I don't remember what it was. I come out, like, kick the fucking valet door open. I have Zeke between my legs. He's fucking screaming, bro. And I go, fuck, whatever his name is, get on the ground. Yeah. So he turns around. He sees this shit, bro. And I see him fucking turn his back. Oh, he's facing me. He starts backpedaling into the street. All I need to see is some of those flight signals, bro. So I fucking send the dog. Dog goes to fucking nail him, right? He feeds the to-go box to the dog. So the dog grabs it, spits it out, smash, and then it's a pig pile. All the undercover motherfuckers swarm this fucking dude, and everybody goes to the fucking ground. Zeke's trying to murder everybody, and I staple him on the fucking guy's calf. And he fucking sank, and he fucking smashed, bro. It was very first time.
He had some filet mignon himself.
He had it, bro. He had it, but you can't make this shit up, bro. The clown shit that they tell you early on in police work that we catch the stupid and the greedy. He checked both boxes, bro. Like, how the fuck do you... Straight clown shit, bro. Like,
and man, it's great. I'm so happy to hear that you're 3 for 3 on your first bites.
Yeah.
I don't think that's typical, you know.
It's not to get too deep in training, but where it is becoming typical is that power and control, that bark fence, the shit that's Eric Good and Ronnie Mangiello. I'm sure I'm butchering his last name. It's like alphabet soup. We call him Ronnie Mango. He's with Martin County. Eric's with Fort Lauderdale PD. Yeah. They've taken these techniques from civilian trainers and adopted them. They've made them better. They've applied them on the street with massive success first time bites. First, you used to get like rakes and be like, oh, we're cool, get better. We're talking about fucking flesh missing, punctures, fucking deep punishing, bone breaking shit first time out, because the dogs are learning how to bite with real emotion and real fucking hate.
And I always, when I can, give a shout out to Steve Sprouse and his products, Armor Legging products. That's definitely advanced.
Big time.
Giving us an opportunity for those dogs to get that visual and that feeling in their mouth texture. Of biting. Yeah, the texture of that. The Arm & Legging products, for those who don't know, is the fake rubber arms and rubber legs, or you can't call it rubber, but a material designed to resemble human flesh to help get those dogs over that final hump of transitioning from a bite suit or a jute material to human flesh. And we hope to have him on the podcast here soon.
Awesome. Great guy, man. Great dude. And we use his products, the prosthetic limbs, and not only do we use it for dogs to have that contact, that texture experience, to have that lifelike picture, but I also use the rubber arms to keep handlers safe when we're dealing with handler aggression.
Yes.
And I've put a lot of
Even
videos
in the pet world.
Yep.
With some of these dogs that just want to, we got to get a leash, or a collar on their neck, or a slip lead, and I'm not reaching my hand in there.
Exactly.
Luckily, those fingers work pretty good. I've gotten pretty good at fishing it on a dog's neck.
Yeah.
But all right, so awesome. So now let's spin it back and let's talk about what are some of the courses you're teaching now. You've taken all this experience and now you're pushing it into, what are some of the top courses you're teaching?
My main go-to is NAPOPO, proper terminology. It's a copyrighted trademark training system developed by Bart Bellin and his wife, Michael. And I've been very blessed and fortunate to train with Bart since the early 2000s, before it was called NAPOPO, before he met Michael, and to watch the system evolve. And I've taken that brilliant, and in my opinion, the incredible dog training system on the planet, being able to take it and apply it into pet homes, apply it in sport field, and also apply it in the street. In biting, in detection, in tracking, and all the phases. And that's my go-to. And I get a lot of requests to teach that skill set.
And you are what's considered a gold instructor / gold multiplicator.
Yes.
Meaning you're able to teach this technique because you are immersed in it now, not only as a student, but as an instructor.
Yes. So years past, you have to go through silver, which was 5 days. Past silver, all theory, no dogs, pen and paper, 100-question tests that they don't give away. You got to get 90 or better. Not easy. Then you come back for the gold, which is all hands-on. So you demonstrate the skills and techniques that you learn from silver in your application, whether you're doing pet stuff, cop stuff, whatever it may be, service dogs. And you have to pass gold as well. What's changed about a year ago, March of 2023, the new gold, a new silver, is now 3 days. It's held in a massive conference hall out in Springfield, Missouri, at the Bass Pro Shop, where it can house 200 people. Now it's 3 days, and now it's a massive lecture to hundreds of people, and still the same process. But if you were a gold student up until March of 2023, you then had the opportunity to become a gold multiplicator, which means years past we couldn't teach gold. It was only Bart teaching gold and Michael. But now with a new system, it allows us to be gold multiplicators, which allows us to spread the gospel and teach NAPOPO around the world. There's many gold students around the world that are doing it. So I can teach 2-day classes of NAPOPO silver and a gold kind of version. And it's always my interpretation. Like, it's not a cookie cutter system. It's the interpretation of the user. So what happens is that I can do those classes. I just can't give the paper behind it to say you have. But
Understood.
as I always say, go to the source. So now what's really great is that Silver's going online, where it's going to really reach the masses, right? It's going to be a 6-week program, 10 block modules, but then it's going to really open. It's much less expensive too. It's like $700, but then it's going to open the floodgates for multiplicators.
Multiplicators,
Yeah.
great. What are some other classes?
Really, a lot of what I do is e-collar. You get advanced e-collar stuff. We're teaching it as a gas pedal to do, an activator, not just brakes, but a gas pedal to stay in tracking, stay in detection, go to that laser pointer, run past that decoy in a suit to go to that passive target. We're using it for a lot of gas pedal exercises. And we teach the advanced courses with e-collar, very basic stuff for pet owners too. The power biting is another big one I get asked to do quite a bit. And I've incorporated the bark fence into the power biting system.
Makes sense. Okay.
So for me, it's an aggression trilogy. It's the boogeyman stuff to teach the dog to activate those unfamiliar pictures that are making the dog insecure and weird. You can't recreate these things in training. And it's the power and control bark fence, the keeping the dogs quiet and prey, teaching them drive channeling, capping, and real forward, active, deep aggression behind the bark fence, which taps into barrier aggression, a much deeper level of aggression, and then tying it all together with the power biting. To teach, it's like the really bodybuilding MMA aspect of the whole system, teaching where the dogs to put all that, when they get kicked, when they get punched.
And the classes you put on, you're doing seminars probably one or two a week, nonstop's what you've been doing. Those classes are sometimes only for law enforcement,
Yep.
sometimes civilian, and some mixed classes. So anyone that's interested, feel free to check the link below. Check out Justin Rigney's. He's got a big Instagram channel. You can see him there. His website and everything that you need to contact him or find out more about what he's teaching will be below, and a little snippet here that you haven't heard anywhere else. We are partnering with Justin. We're going to be putting out courses so you can come visit us at DIY Canine and learn from the man himself. So more to come on that. We're not going to say much more about it now, still in the works, but that's one of the reasons he's here with us today. And so very, very excited and happy to have you on board so that you can continue to share your knowledge, which I also find very interesting. Like you said earlier, it's not just the 30 plus years of experience. Even when you're out teaching, you're still learning, as you've said before.
I steal from my students all the time, man.
And you say it openly in your class. You say, I'm here to teach, but I'm also here to steal.
I am, for sure, and I do. And I've learned so much from my students because I'm always trying to get better. There's so much room for improvement in my game to communicate and connect with people on all different levels. Because as an instructor, you're tasked with going into an environment, preaching your gospel of your techniques and systems and ideas, and then we get the dogs out. In a very short amount of time, as a human and a dog approach the training environment, you have to analyze the cohesiveness, the synergy, and that's going on within the pack dynamics, good or bad. You have to analyze the human being's skill set, their motor skills, their timing and coordination, their ability to process information on the fly, and then physically apply it to their dog, who has its own separate emotional needs and drives and mannerisms and behaviors and temperament. Like, you have to take all that shit into consideration in a snippet of time, come up with a learning plan and a lesson design, a learning design, and then put it into motion. It doesn't always go silky smooth, right? And I think why Bart's a genius is that's why he's dumped the gold on us, because that's where all the liability is, man. It's not easy, man, but I'm still very passionate about it, man.
My favorite line from Bart is, unfuck yourself.
Yes. Yeah. And as arrogant it sounds to say, like, I am not scared to fail. I'm okay with that awkward fucking feeling, and I know my boundaries, and I'm so grateful for all the people that have entrusted me over these years to listen to me and to try to employ the things I'm asking them to do. And for the vast majority, it goes pretty well, or they wouldn't, ask me back. But I'm not scared to fail, and I think my life's been nothing but adversity that I've been able to try and flip the script for good. And I think through this conversation, man, I think it humanizes us as law enforcement as well. Like, I get choked up talking about my dogs and their success. I felt for the mother watching her son fucking die. It's, I never looked back, man. I was always able to shut that off. Like, going to work.
You have to.
Going to work was like a movie. And I didn't have to do it intentionally. And I still, like, it goes back to my childhood, like this normalcy, like dysfunction. My wife comes from very true normalcy, very, very tight family. Everybody's got their shit, but it's like the things that I've dealt with in my personal life and divorce and things and things I've dealt in law enforcement, like she doesn't get it. Still as a cop that's seen crazy shit. But for me, it's just normalcy. And I think through this dialogue, man, it humanizes us, bro. Like, we're not robots, but I did have the ability to treat it almost like a movie where I could end the script, shut it off, and then go into my normal life, as much as I was addicted to it at one point in time. But my mind's like that, bro. I can walk away from it, and I have not looked back. I've not, and because maybe I do have my hands in so much teaching that I get my fill on that side.
Yeah.
But I also see how the world's changed, where there's no job to go back to. There's no job to go back to.
Yeah.
You can't do it anymore.
No, you can't.
Not there. Tennessee, yeah, you can do the job.
There's still some.
You just don't get paid.
Some places
Very
where.
well.
Yeah. There's still some places where you can still do good old-fashioned police work.
Yep.
And your hands aren't tied by politicians and the media.
Yeah. We were sitting at lunch today, and somebody paid our bill, and we were like, "Who did this?" And amazing about your character that you paid it forward and paid for another couple.
Of course.
And then the guy couldn't resist. He came up, right? He's a retired cop, former canine guy, got bit really bad, and just the support, like the feeling, the flow, the people are different in different parts of the country. Like, wouldn't happen in South Florida.
Yeah, nobody would pay for anything, and nobody would come up to you and shake your hand. Or if they did, you'd be reaching for something.
Exactly.
Like, hey.
That was the hardest thing. My wife and I had to transition to Tennessee, that the people were so nice. We thought they were up to something.
Yeah.
Like, why are you holding that door for me, bro? Like, why are you letting me in traffic, bro? You got your boys coming up behind me, bro. Is he gonna pinch my car and rob me and shit? Like,
and we don't talk about it a lot, and it military vets talk about it a lot as far as PTSD, but a lot of us cops, especially the ones that work in tougher areas, whether we want to admit it or not, we have our own level of PTSD, and we're always on edge and whatever, and it's hard to shake that sometimes. Always got to sit with our can't put our back to the wall. I mean, to the door. My wife knows, they know, no matter where we sit, we could be in a damn Ruth Chris.
Right.
I am not sitting with my back to the doors. Can't do it.
I'm good because my wife's a better shot than I am.
All right. Well, look, a perfect way to end it there. I want to thank you so much, Justin, for coming on and sharing so much of your wisdom, your stories. Again, folks, look in the comments below. If you need to contact Justin, you want to find out more about what he does, it's all going to be there. Again, a tremendous trainer, and I'm just so happy to have had you on, and look forward to have you on again.
Right on, brother.
And working together and continuing to spread the gospel and helping these folks out, whether it's in the pet game or the law enforcement game.
Right on, man.
So happy to have you.
Beautiful, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. We'll see you on the next one. If you don't want to end up like the guy who got bit in the face by a police dog, make sure you like, share, subscribe right now before we send Zeke on your ass. All right. See you in the next one.